detailed laser scan track. The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Oh God. Oh, sorry. Welcome back, everybody. There we go. I think we've been having a little bit of technical difficulty at the start of the stream on my end, but in a new location, trying some new stuff out. So hopefully all is right now. Yeah, hopefully it's caught up to my feed. So there we go. I can now officially see we are all good. Sorry, you kind of missed the spiel there. I dropped out and came back, and hopefully, well, I think all of my intro there was gone. So let's try it again. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 2 of the Karts Computers iRacing series for 2020. Round 2 of the second season. It's important to note. We come to you live from Watkins, Glen International, the virtual version of the track, of course. If only we could run at the real one, but New York isn't quite so accessible to us Canadians right now, so unfortunately we have to stick with our lovely tracks we have back home. But this is our second round of the season. Last week on Friday, those of you that watched that race will remember we were at Talladega for a season opener that was won by Michael Krobach. His fourth oval race in the series period, and his fourth oval race win. So he seems to be quite a master of those tracks for sure. But when it comes to road courses, well, that's a discipline that all of our karting guys will have a very good background in. Obviously, all of them are very experienced drivers when it comes to the road course format themselves. Maybe less so the ovals in real life. So, well, it should be interesting to see which of those karting drivers can come out with a win tonight here at Watkins Glen. Before we move on to our actual race and get to qualifying and showing you the results from that for the start of our race, I will first show you our race recap for our previous race at Talladega for those who didn't see it. And as I previously mentioned, for our race recap, we were at Talladega Superspeedway, as you can see on our list there. That was just your quick qualifying order. Michael Krobach took the pole for I think the third time in his oval racing career in our series. He's 3 for 4 all time. You see the start of our race here. On the outside of him was Logan Paxa, the top 2 in last year's championship, starting on the front row for this race. Just a quick clip to give you a good idea of the kind of racing we were dealing with. Some crazy 3 wides there. You see Justin Loic in the middle of Rich Foligno and Jordan West there. Some pretty tight pack racing for sure, but our first incident of the day is a result from that pack racing. On board with Marshall Crocker Sr. there, you're seeing Josh Gallagher and now Logan Ferguson coming, getting T-boned by Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, in that incident. So overall, kind of a rough incident to start the race out on lap 9. A few laps later, we see John Gary go around. I can't remember exactly who he got turned by, but as you can see, that pack racing dynamic we haven't had much this season. It was playing tricks on people in terms of their lines and just where they thought they could run on track. You see here, Andrew Bedrosian just slips up a little bit, making a pass and a few drivers through the middle. Clips Max Preston, sends him around, and then another giant crash to start the race. Yeah, it was pretty chaotic early, but now here you see 2 rows of 3 wide, just the drafting starting to come into play in the later half of this race. Now 2 third point when this happened to happen, but Logan Pax at the time was the leader, but Devin Crosby would make a pass, and Rich Foligno was led put a Motorsports affiliate teammate, and he wouldn't look back for quite a while. Led about the last 20 of the last 25 laps of the race, but you see here the big incident that took Devin and Logan Paxa out of contention. You see here Rich Foligno trying to get the side draft on Paxa. He happens to clip Paxa, who, as a result, heads straight left into Devin Crosby, taking both drivers out of the race. They'd still finish 6th and 7th, respectively, though. But now you see Rich Foligno leading us to our final restart of the race here. Quite a long race, I might add, but in the backstretch for the final lap, I just took the entire final lap of our race as a clip because you see the drivers start to break off. Michael Krobach heads up high and kind of abandons his Lad Pedal Motorsports teammate, but comes back down, Gets Rich Foligno behind him in the draft, and you see Andrew Bedrosian, who's not a teammate of any of these drivers, trying to make a move here. The individual driver looking for his first race win of the season there, but they went 3 wide. Bedrosian just happened to clip somebody exiting off the banking of the turn, so he'd clip Gallagher and Foligno, meaning Michael Krobach would get an almost uncontested way to the finish for his first win of the season. What a finish we did have. Those 3 drivers, important to mention, did end up finishing the race. They all limped their cars back to the finish line to finish second for Gallagher, third for Bedrosian, and fourth for Rich Foligno, respectively. So, as I mentioned, Michael would win his 4th oval race overall in the series, an absolute oval master that man is. But you'd see there the final results. A few drivers making their debuts in the series. Max Preston in his first race had a pretty successful run overall, but unfortunately because of some incidents just wasn't able to finish the race. And there it is right there. So Krobach, Gallagher, Bedrosian, your top 3. Foligno and West would round out your top 5. Logan Paxa finishing outside of the top 5. Actually, for the first time all series in our entire history of the Karts to Computers Racing Series, which is absolutely ludicrous if you ask me. But, well, overall, it's I'd imagine as we head to a road course for the first time in a little while in this series, well, I mean, Logan's kind of a master at the domain of road courses, so I would by no means be surprised if he were able to come away with a good finish tonight. Unfortunately, I don't have time for the normal track lap we'd normally do, but no doubt I will show you an onboard lap at some point during the broadcast. Consider that a promise from me. But I will just quickly throw up the track map. None of that was the track map. There we go. Sorry about that. Here's the track map. I'm sorry, it's a little bit low quality, but unfortunately I couldn't quite draw the Watkins Glen International Speedway myself. But here is the configuration we'll be running tonight. Those of you that may be familiar with Watkins Glen from, well, its days as an actual IndyCar track itself, or it's been on the NASCAR calendar for quite a while. This is actually the classic configuration. So this is we're running the configuration tonight they used to run in like the 1970s. I think they ran it from like 1971 to 1974 in a few series in that kind of time period. So here's our track. It doesn't look too complicated on paper, but boy, with the elevation changes, it can be quite difficult. The S's are like a long sweeping uphill section. The back straight's all pretty flat, and then into the loop is a long downhill sweeping corner. Same with the chute, and then it's an immediate left-hand sweeper downhill as well, which just kind of gives you context for how high the S's are. Then the boot, you head into another uphill section down into the heel, which is I think all a flat section, but you come out of that final turn there up towards the 90, as it's called, that first degree corner. And you're back into a long uphill section, then downhill into the first corner. So elevation changes are kind of the name of the game here. You can even see as we head back to our the image iRacing is giving us right now of the track pre-race. You can even just see the subtleties in the change in the elevation there. You can see the uphill section at the end of the straightaway we're looking at right now. So overall, it's not an easy track, but now that we got kind of all of our pre-race stuff out of the way, we can now head to your current qualifying results. Let me just pull those up here. There we go. So as you can see in qualifying currently, Logan Paxa, I was talking about it a few minutes ago, but he is kind of our road course master of the series. It felt like last season Michael Krobach was almost undefeatable at the oval configurations, but man, whenever we come to a road course, it just seems like Logan's got his own individual pace level that not many people can keep up with here. So looks like he is provisionally your pole sitter. Somebody just hopped in the timing tower a moment ago. Not quite sure who that was, but some people getting in some late laps. They have 10 minutes to qualify, but sometimes they want to make changes to their setup before the race starts. Let me just see if I can get the time put up there for our session. Okay, so just about a minute left until the end of qualifying. But let's go over your current qualifying position. So Logan Paxa, Michael Krobach, your top 2. Michael Krobach, actually, that's an impressive time for him at a road course. I know he's been putting a lot more time into these specifically in the series lately. At least he was at the end of last season as well. Because he's like, when it comes to NASCAR ovals, I think in his own time in series, he's run pretty much everywhere he's needed to for our season. I mean, this season we're going to go to Pocono, we're going to go to Michigan, which we obviously ran last season, and Daytona, which are three very popular NASCAR ovals that he probably would have run in his own time. So really, he gets to spend a lot more practice time on the road courses that he may not be so familiar with. I know a lot of people. I'd be surprised if anybody in this series has run IndyCar at Watkins Glen in their time on iRacing, because it's a configuration they run in real life. NASCAR ran, or well, NASCAR runs here too, but IndyCar ran at Watkins Glen up until I think 2 years ago. So maybe it's not such a popular type of track for these guys to run. But after that, Max Preston, third in qualifying actually, which is a very impressive spot for him. Our third and fourth row are 2 very newcomers to the series. So Max Preston, he's a guy that in his own practice time or in any of our practice sessions, he's been really quick. Logan actually won our first practice race as we see qualifying come to an end, but on the second one, Michael Krobach took home the honors, and well, Max Preston was putting up a good fight there at the end, running some great lap times. So wouldn't be surprised if we saw a very good performance from him tonight. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But we are going to throw up your qualifying results for tonight's race. So first of all, for those of you that may be new, I always show up in the graphics for these things. Marshall Crocker Jr. there at the bottom. I am not in this race. My father is. He's the Marshall Crocker you'll recognize in the timing tower, but not, however, me. But as we look to our results for tonight's race, Logan Paxa is once again your pole sitter, as I mentioned a moment ago, 127.691. That is not a bad time at all. Quite impressive, in fact. Michael Krobach, after that, running about 5/10 slower. So it's, maybe it was just couldn't get his tires up to speed quick enough, and maybe the race pace over long runs will show up differently than that. But after that, Max Preston just hitting about 8/10 back of Krobach there for third position. Andrew Bedrosian, after that, Justin Loic. Devin Crosby will be your third row. Marco Felice making his return to the series after some, I think, personal technical issues trying to get his setup all figured out, but he's got it worked out for tonight, so he will start on the inside of the fourth row. To his outside will be Jordan West, a fellow Canadian karting driver himself. Rich Foligno and John Guerra in 9th and 10th position in the fifth row. Manuel Guerra, the other Diabolique Motorsports car, starting right behind John Guerra, a team member of his. After that, Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, an individual driver, one of currently 3 in the field, the others being Felice and Bedrosian, without teammates in the series as we speak. After that, Josh Gallagher almost won our previous race there at Talladega, came very close, but not quite as much of a road course guy as far as I know in his past. But I mean, you never know. It's a track that can allow for a lot of incidents, and if you can just avoid incidents here at a road course race, regardless of your experience or skill level at road course tracks, well, you can you never know. You might find yourself with a very good position. And then rounding out in the 7th row is Logan Ferguson, teammate of Logan Paxa. So the field is started and ended by a Logan Motorsports driver. Logan Motorsports, of course, being the team name. Unfortunately, I can't get the team names to show up in this graphic here, but I will quickly soon. I will actually show you guys the proper team results. You see there, Michael getting ready to head behind the pace car. I will pull down the qualifying results graphic. And there we go. We're getting ready to go. Oh, there it is not a driver in the track. There we go. Oh, good there. So, important note, we do have one warm-up lap in tonight's race. The drivers will head around, try to get the tires all warmed up, and actually we could get a pretty good view of the racetrack here. So let's just head on board for a moment with our pole sitter, Mr. Logan Paxa. This will actually be kind of a fitting way to do this. It'll be an on-the-spot way, but you'll get a slow journey around the track. You see there cranking the wheel back and forth, trying to warm the tires up. That is, of course, the intent behind what he's doing. You come out of here on cold tires, and you got to get the grip warmed up in them, so you're going to weave back and forth to try to get all the heat in there. The one thing I want to mention in terms of our cockpit is we head up through the S's, a very tough, difficult, uphill, vertical kind of chicane section, and then onto our big, long backstretch, which is where I'd imagine most of our passes in tonight's 50-lap race will be. But just look at kind of the design in the cockpit for Logan Paxa. This is exactly his view he sees when racing at home. But look down the center there of the aero screen. The aero screen being that kind of windshield-like object that surrounds the driver. It's also called the halo in F1, but I think it's slightly different in IndyCar, hence the different name. But that pole in the middle that's meant to support the aero screen, I personally find it brutal to try to corner with that thing in my way. It's just tough to detect, kind of your braking points and look out for cars in front of you. There's just kind of a blind spot in your screen at all times, and it's not much fun to deal with, if I'm honest. So it's something that it'll be tough to deal with at road course. Not quite so troublesome at ovals when you run them in IndyCar, but it's a difficult section for sure. You see him out through that long right-hand sweeper a moment ago, and now you come down into the chute. This long sweeping left-hander that's actually deceptively tough. Obviously, he's not going up to full speed, so you won't see the proper way it's run on track as he follows the pace car here. But you actually wash out quite far in that curb that he almost just hit there. So if you're going as hard as you can, well, you should be able to just barely brush it at full speed. But yeah, if you get too close, it can be deadly. And speaking of deadly corners, this uphill right-hand corner is brutal for me, I find. I either just wash out a little bit too far to the outside, or if you get on the gas too early while you're turning right and your tires haven't straightened out yet, you can fling yourself into the inside of that right wall super easily. So definitely something you want to watch out for, and I'm sure that, Logan, I think, has run over 100 practice laps in here in preparation for tonight's race, so I'd imagine he will not be one of those drivers to make that mistake. But he comes down through the heel of the boot, I guess you could say. The boot being the section we're currently driving in right now. Once you head out of that long right-hand sweeper after the backstretch, it is all the boot from there. He'll exit the boot there, take the left-hander out onto the traditional NASCAR configuration of our track. And with that, that pretty much ends our track lap because we will be going green a moment from now. See our drivers heading there into the second of the final 2 corners here. One final left-hander and one final right-hander to end off the track. I will throw up the track map because I know it is certainly a fan favorite there. You can see the interesting design, the configuration of our track tonight. Getting ready to watch the guys go green. We can get a little bit of a further view into the final corner. We're going to see the pace car taking the right-hander a moment from now. That's Logan Paxa there on the inside in that gray and red entry. That Spitfire car like his one from the other day. Here we go, green flag. You see the empty arm displaying the green flag there. We're going to head across the start-finish line, and Logan Paxa gets us going for the second race of the 2020 Karts to Computers iRacing Series. Heading through corner 1 he goes. Michael Krobach there in the background. We're going to have to look through the field here because I am in charge of throwing cautions tonight, and I'm going to look out there for any drivers in the back who may be having incidents. But as of currently, I think we are all going caution-free through the start of this race. Logan Ferguson in the back of the field trailing by quite a bit. But, well, as for right now, we head through the first section of this track into the long sweeping right-hander that I mentioned before. I believe it's called the Loop or something of that sort, but currently no major passes for position. Justin Loic has moved up to 4th, I should mention, however. Passing Andrew Bedrosian, I think, in that orange, black, and white entry right behind him. So, impressive start to the race there for Loic. After that, no real passes being made yet. Actually, he's right behind his teammate Max Preston. You see the two in the identical Aero McLaren liveries. They've dubbed themselves MJ Motorsports currently, but we have kind of a little running joke going where whatever driver is to win the race before each race, we will rename the team with their initial in front, or to finish better, that we will put their initial in front for the next race. So currently MJ Motorsports. If Justin's able to have a good finish, who knows? That could change by the end of this race. But, well, we come to the end of lap 1. Jordan West somewhere in the field appears to have crashed. He has indeed. That'll be a caution, ladies and gentlemen.
Caution, yellow flag.
Well, let's go to a replay here of exactly what happened on that incident with Jordan West by himself, actually. It didn't look too provoked of an incident. So Jordan West is that black racing entry there, the number 6 car that just kind of loses the back end exiting the boot there. Didn't really seem provoked or anything, but dangerous spot with cars going by as we spoke. So it was a dangerous spot to spin for sure. Rich Foligno, actually, as we look live. See if Jordan West appears to have entered the pits, but so is Rich Foligno. Not exactly sure what happened to him there, but if we look further up in the field, Logan Paxa will, when we go back to green, still be your race leader. Pretty clean start for him. He jumped away by about a half a second on that restart, so didn't look like it was all too contested of a start for him. As we look elsewhere in the field, I don't see any major moves for position besides obviously Justin Loic. I'll throw up the little gain tracker there just to show you how many positions drivers have gained and lost since the start of that green flag stint. Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, actually has moved up 4 positions from 12th to 8th right there. Other than that, a few drivers moving up 1 or 2, but Rich Foligno and Jordan West were the 2 main losers of that first stint, just because, I guess, of incidents. I'm honestly not sure what Rich Foligno's was, but the biggest position losers would be those 2 gentlemen. Rich Foligno losing 4, going from 9th to 13th, and Jordan West dropping to the back of the pack because of the incident we just saw a moment ago. But both drivers do appear to have used their quick repairs and are up to speed now. See Rich Foligno heading through the heading into the boot, I should say, and behind them Jordan West just heading into that long right-hand sweeper after the start-finish line. So let's check the lights on the pace car. We may be going green as soon as this time by. No, not quite, but looks like we'll need to do one more caution lap. But well, this will be the first time that we've actually run one of these races without the competition yellows that we were doing last season. This season, unfortunately, because of just how long the caution laps can be at times, unfortunate to see, but means that we'll do a little bit more time under caution, warming the tires up, which will be an important aspect for these drivers to remember over the course of this race, because if you kind of lax off and don't warm your tires up as much as you should, well, you could have a very similar solo incident like that. I was glad to see that it wasn't provoked or anything, no drivers getting into each other or anything like that, so we went clean through the first lap, and we can only hope in our next restart we go very similar. But yeah, again, you see the lights on the pace car, so we'll do one more pace lap, and then we'll get ready to go green here at Watkins Glen. Again, it kind of gives you a good tour of the track. It's a beautiful facility located in the greater New York area, I think of New York State. I used to think as a kid it was a Canadian track, and I kind of wish it was, because it's as I mentioned, it doesn't look like a very complex layout there you see on your screen from the top right on the track map. But I don't know. I think it's an interesting. It's an interesting designed racetrack in terms of its elevation changes and stuff like that, and that's really the thing that stands out to me. You see, actually, it's a little flatter here than I remember, but in real life, it becomes a little bit more jarring just as to how much the track can move in terms of its slopes and declines, especially in the corners. You can see kind of the downhill section into here. That's a tough apex to hit for sure. It's not an easy track, and the fact that they've actually run NASCARs here for quite a few years that's pretty cool to me. I know IndyCar hasn't run here, I think, since 2017, but whenever they did, I always thought it was good. It was good racing. There's not a ton of great passing corners, I will admit. In our setup, actually, we've had to go with a specifically high downforce. Oh, sorry, the sound might be a little bit loud there. But we had to go with a specifically high downforce setup for tonight. Normally, we'd go with more of a traditional one that focuses on the longer straightaways. Of course, our front stretch and back stretch, as you can see on the track map, the back stretch they're entering onto right now. But the boot section is just so difficult that you have to maximize downforce in your setup at this track, which means that, well, unfortunately, I think the drivers actually do hit their top. They do hit the rev limiter in the 6th gear when they're coming down this backstretch. Like, the car just physically can't go any faster once it gets to the end of it, which in a way does kind of make the braking point interesting into this long sweeper, because you're trying to maximize all that speed you've built up, because you know how there's not really much more left to go. So you want to maximize being on the top of the rev limiter as much as you can, but then you head into this. I think you can just coast for the beginning of it. I don't think it's very much of a braking section there, but head into this long sweeper, which is actually a surprisingly good passing corner. I think I saw 1 or 2 passes here in our practice races where guys would just build up speed and hit her on the outside in this corner, and coming down here into the chute, this downhill section where they actually break off from the traditional NASCAR track. If you were to draw a line, kind of think of it, if you think of the track as a cannon a little bit, and the stand of the cannon is where the finish line is, down there in the bottom left of your screen. If the top of the cannon barrel is the backstretch, and you were to think of the little loop there, instead of heading off into the boot, if you were to just keep going straight when you came out of the sweeper, that's normally where the NASCAR configuration is, and it looks like a really simple track. But you add the boot on for the IndyCar, and it just adds a whole new level of difficulty in corners and passing areas. I mean, it's not even really that much of a passing track, if I'm honest, but those 2 straightaways, you just have so much time to try to beat people in the inner loop, catch up, and then by the time you get onto those big major straightaways, well, that's where you can make your moves. We'll see if moves are able to be made on this next restart. Again, not too many positions changed in that last 2-lap stint there. You see Logan Pax is going to come around the final, I think, 3 corners before he gets going green here. Starting to ease off from the pace car, give himself room to work with. He went almost immediately after making the corner there on that first lap, which I think was part of why nobody was really making passes or getting into incidents, was because he was just able to split the field up so well when he went green. And he will get ready to go green again. Our first restart of the day, second of the race from Mr. Logan Paxa, who will remain your leader. Important drivers to look out for as well. I mean, Andrew Bedrosian got passed by Justin Loic on that last restart, but he was running some great practice laps here before the race, and he's a very passionate guy about racing, so wouldn't be surprised to see him or Max Preston make up some moves on this very next restart. So he's waving the tires, trying to get some heat in him. He's going to come around the final corner. We're going to wait for the pace car to head off into the right. Drivers stacking up a little bit. We're getting ready to go green. Logan Paxa gets on the gas. Green flag for the second restart of the race at Watkins Glen International. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. It looked like it was going to be a caution, but luckily, as I laid out before the race, I would be specifically throwing them if we had multi-car incidents that involved a situation where a caution was necessary. And because it looked like a single car incident at the time, only involving Jean Guerra, we were actually okay. Pretty simplified incident. I don't even think I'll get the chance to go back to a replay for it, but essentially just came in a little bit too hot into the first corner, lost the back end quite simply, and a few other cars I think were surrounding him when he restarted. I think he restarted there about I think he was 10th, so surrounded by a few guys and just kind of lost the back end. We look for the very first lap. I think we've completed entirely under green. Logan Paxel will come across the start-finish line for the first time under speed all race. Already broke about a half second and maybe a quarter lead from the driver behind him, that being Michael Krobach. Another driver there in the back, that's Marshall Crocker Sr., appears to have gone around. No caution, of course, because he appears to have avoided damage, and it was a solo incident, but now he is tasked with catching up to the rest of the field. Okay, elsewhere, back to the front. Let's look for some battles on track. I think our two closest drivers right now are Justin Loic and Andrew Bedrosian for a position, that being the 4th position. Bedrosian, of course, got passed a second ago, and now he's looking for that same spot back. See him head through the long sweeper here, being followed closely by that, well, orange, the primarily orange but black and white car behind him. And then that McLaren black, orange, and blue entry is Justin Loic. Right behind the both of them, though, is the green and black car of Devin Crosby for Loud Pedal Motorsports Green. A team that had a very successful first race last week. They finished 2nd in points after having a driver... oh, actually they may have... Oh, somebody in the background there. That's Andrew Bedrosian heads around. I think it was a solo incident. Didn't seem to take damage. He's got to watch out, though. That'll be a... It'll be a sector yellow, but no full course quite yet. No, so he'll head back up to speed, but that is one that we will take a look at. So we're going to quickly go to our race replay. And now we're going to check out a quick replay of exactly what happened to Andrew Bedrosian there. I think this was his first incident I've seen him have by himself all week at this track. He just comes around that tough uphill section, gets a little bit too hard on the gas, just barely misses Devin Crosby with his back end. But well, you see the car's heading by him. He's trying to do the quick flick around to try to get the car back straight, and finally manages to do so there. Head back to the race, make sure there haven't been any major incidents that we happen to have missed. Doesn't look like it. Everybody appears to be up to speed, which is good to see. Logan Paxel remains your race leader, but there's a tough battle going on there. A few spots back for 4th. That battle that was previously between Loic, Bedrosian, and Crosby is now only Loic and Crosby. Loic, of course, being the second of those two identical McLaren entries, sitting there in the 4th position. And after that, it is Devin Crosby in the position behind him. Devin in that all green and black car. Certainly an oval specialist, I think in his own time he'd consider himself, but well, tonight it's a road course for the time being, and he put in a lot of practice effort this week, so I would by no means be surprised if he had a successful race. Well, important to note that elsewhere in the field, it looks like Manuel Guerra and Marco Felice are having a pretty good battle. Marco Felice, who got in an incident before, but a caution was called, which allowed him to bunch back up to the field. Well, now he's doing his very best to chase down. That's John Guerra in front of him that we're on board with right now. Watch as John exits through the boot just to make sure that his tires are up to speed and everybody's good through this corner. It's a very tricky one, so it's good to see everybody's kind of got it figured out at this point in the race. But yeah, Felice starting to catch Guerra. We'll see if he uses one of his push-to-passes. That's another thing I have to mention about the Indycar specifically. Those of you from last year that remember the Indycar will remember the push-to-pass button that every driver has on their wheel. Essentially just giving him a brief speed boost of sorts to add some extra power to the car and try to make passes that are necessary. Each driver does get 10 over the course of the race, so I mean, ideally, if you think you're going to be there in a battle at the end, you try to save them up as much as you can and use the pace car to bunch yourself up to the drivers around you. We're going to head to our chopper camera here as we see if Marco Felice is able to indeed make the pass there on John Guerra. That's again Marco there in the red car down below, and John there in the silver and yellow car to the outside. Marco's going to head down to the bottom as we come into this long sleeping right-hander. Guerra's not going to put up much of a fight, meaning Marco Felice makes the pass. Sorry, that's Manuel Guerra. I'm referring to the wrong Guerra there. John Guerra, of course, I think was involved in a solo incident a few laps ago. And he will head back to 13th position. Again, no major incidents that look like anybody has been put out of the race quite yet, so I will have to be on watch for that, but I am trying to get somebody to take care of things like that for the future, where we just have a specialist that whose specific job is to call cautions and such like that. But well, when you're at a series at this point of year, you kind of got to do as much as you can. It's kind of a cool camera angle, but it does certainly flip quite a bit. So you see that's Max Preston followed by Justin Loic and Devin Crosby coming across the start-finish line there. Heading down into corner 1, that again long sweeping right-hand downhill corner there. Up into the S's here. Max Preston, a guy that, yeah, I don't want to underplay just how quick he's been in our practice races this week. This is only his 2nd race in the series. He made his debut there at the Oval at Talladega on Friday night, but Well, now he comes back for his first road course of the series, and overall it looks like a pretty big success thus far. Being chased down by Justin Loic, a more experienced driver in the Karts to Computers series in terms of his experience in the series itself, but I don't know, I think Max Preston is going to have a pretty good year for himself, and looking around the track again, still everybody appears to have remained clean, so definitely a good thing to see. Devin Crosby actually starting to catch up to the two in front of them. The three, you can almost put an even gap between each driver. Overall, it looks like it's just under about a second and a half separating the three cars as a whole. Looking elsewhere in the field, Andrew Bedrosian and Rich Foligno might be having a battle as we speak. Not sure if, I think Andrew may have just made a pass there as he went around a moment ago, and Foligno may have passed him back after that. So Andrew heading back into the boot this time, heads down the chute there with Rich Foligno in that dark blue car right there behind him. Of course, important to remember, Andrew is an individual driver in our series, but Rich Foligno is a member of Loud Motorsports Blue. LPMB actually leading the points currently as we speak, that being the combination of Michael Krobach and Rich Foligno. But elsewhere in the field, trying to look for some good battles on track, because I believe Bedrosian is going to start to pull away if he gets the chance here. I think he's just been running some quicker laps the last few times by. We can throw up the graphic here just to check. Yeah, so it looks like Bedrosian's just been quite a bit quicker these last few times by. You can see there on lap 5 when Bedrosian was 10 seconds slower. No doubt just as a result of that spin that he had a few laps ago. So, well, Bedrosian will head off and make his push upwards towards Manuel Guerra, who sits about 2.5 seconds, almost 3 ahead of him. Elsewhere in the field, Loooc appears to be starting to get catched by Crosby for that 4th position. Of course, Max Preston's still in front of them, but Crosby is closing in here. Wasn't able to get him on the backstretch, but they head down into the boot. Maybe that'll be a pretty good opportunity for him to work his magic. We'll have to see here. We get to about the 20% point in our race, about 1/5 of the way through here. Logan Paxi, who's actually being catched by Michael Krobach in the background. We'll stay here for a minute and see if any progress can be made by these gentlemen, but well, for the moment it actually doesn't look like there's going to be a pass here as Loic starts to break away a little bit in this intersection, trying to catch up to Max Preston, his teammate in front. Let's go up front though and check on Michael Krobach there in that well, his own personal LPM Motorsports entry with his HPP simulations. I guess it'd be a Dallara this time, as I'm used to saying NASCAR manufacturers now. But yeah, so again, he's heavily sponsored on iRacing just because he has such a background in esports as a whole. So, it says that Josh Gallagher, that's somewhere on track, appeared to have lost it and have come back on track. So, doesn't look like any substantial damage there, at least not that I can tell visibly. So, well, maybe it was just a minor incident, or maybe my computer's just playing tricks on me. I have no idea. But looking around, Loic appears to have had Crosby close in on him once again. Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, appears to have crashed. Huge damage. That'll be a caution for sure this time, ladies and gentlemen.
Caution, yellow flag.
Well, the border there. Well, the caution has indeed come out here at Watkins Glen International, and now we'll get a quick check-in on exactly what happened. See my father, Marshall Crocker Sr., heading into that final right-hand corner of the boot. Coming around here, I guess he gets on the curb and gets a little too hard on the gas and just sends it around in front of a few drivers. Some guys going in the grass to avoid, but everybody manages to get by it okay. That was John Guerra and Josh Gallagher that had to swerve to avoid. So, well, my father will head back to the pits and try to get his car all fixed up. He's got to run one quick lap here before the pits open, which with a car that damaged has got to be quite the difficult feat. So we're 10 laps in. We get our second caution of the day. Logan Paxa there in the gray and red Spitfire entry there. One of the two Logan Motorsports cars, the other being Logan Ferguson, who actually be quite a beneficiary from this incident. We'll get to catch up to the rest of the field. No pit stops this time by for the top few leaders. Maybe pit road is just closed this time, not quite sure. But well, in terms of fuel, every driver has 100% fuel load, which I would think would mean they could go maybe like 20-ish, somewhere in the realm of that many laps. Meaning it should be a reasonable two-stopper here tonight, but well, maybe guys just don't feel the need to pit for tires quite yet. I'm not sure how much they would have fallen off with a few caution laps earlier and now 2 more right now. I'd imagine we won't need to worry about guys that are on old tires. So, well, for the moment, we may take a brief break. I'm actually going to try out a new kind of creation that I've come up with here. We're going to go side by side, which they do in a lot of call it a real series, but we're going to get the quick iRacing commercial that I'm sure you're used to seeing. But you're going to get alongside with the drivers as they head through their caution laps.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And after a brief break there, hopefully all went well. Just trying out some new stuff here. Maybe we're getting a little bit fancy, but well, you never know. It's good to try to incorporate my breaks in a tasteful way where I don't need to completely cut away from the action. So something we'll try out. Let me know if it's a improvement on the usual. But again, as usual, the fact that I am solo in the booth here tonight, well, the kind of virtual booth. I'm sitting here in my room desk for the first time, but well, unfortunately, the fact again that I don't have a co-commentator yet means that yeah, I do need to take breaks with. When the action runs as long as this race will. Actually, this race, as I said before, should be quite a bit shorter than our race at Talladega. Again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that watched the entire duration of that thing. That was, wow, that was quite a lengthy race there. I know 120 laps didn't even seem that long to me when I was thinking about the context of an oval. Usually, ovals taking about half a minute, meaning about 120 laps would take you to about an hour, but unfortunately, I didn't take into account just the fact that we'd get so many cautions, which at a super speedway like Talladega, you should just really accept that it's going to be the case. So we'll be in the season off. Well, our second to last race of the season, round 14, will be at Daytona this year in the Cup Series. So hopefully I will have learned my lesson before we get there. But speaking of the drivers in tonight's race, now pit road I think will remain open for the last lap of this caution as the pace car will head in next time by. So we will check in and see if anybody wants to take that right-hand drive down pit road. Oh, Logan's going to fake a few out. Michael Krobach will enter the pits this time by, as well as I think Devin Crosby behind him. So Michael Krobach will head in. Devin Crosby will head in. Andrew Bedrosian will head in there in that orange car. Rich Foligno in the blue car behind. John Guerra in that yellow and silver entry. Then Josh Gallagher in that green and black car. Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, in the Tim Hortons car with some major nose damage. And after that, Logan Ferguson will round out the drivers heading down pit road there in the U.S. Air Force Spitfire car, also driven by Logan Paxson. Well, with that being said, all those drivers heading in, that'll kind of shake up the order a little bit in terms of where drivers are on track. I'll just take down the gains right there, but I will leave out the car numbers just so all of you can get used to who is who in terms of this series as a whole. A few driver changes were made. Andrew Bedrosian went from the number 13 to number 22. So I know it's not the usual NASCAR format where you can see the numbers big on the side of the car, but just so you guys can get used to who is who. Of course, reminder, Logan Paxson being number 1 because he is your reigning defending series champion, and Logan Ferguson being number 2 because he's his teammate, and so on and so forth. But we are going to, maybe we'll go on board one more time with Logan Paxson, or maybe we'll switch it up and we'll go to a bit of a different camera view. It's always interesting just to see some additional views that iRacing provides in cameras like this, because I mean, iRacing, as I'm sure you guys are familiar, even from some of our races last season, our horrendous Daytona road course technical issue where it just decided to stop scoring people, that was super annoying. So the fact that we've gotten over that, well, it's a little bit comforting for sure. But these camera angles, I think, are really cool that iRacing provides. And I got to say, I've played some other racing simulators in my time, but nothing that has quite as dynamic stuff as this. Maybe I'll even just experiment around for a moment while we wait to go green. Yeah, just stuff like this. Like it's impressive, even with the simplified design of some of the track elements. I mean, you see the trees in the background there, and the fences and the textures that are just repeating. I mean, if you look at the curbs long enough, they have little imperfections and little dirt spots that eventually start repeating. But it's impressive. The design of this game is sorry, the simulation. You never want to mix the two up. But you know, the design of it in general is really impressive, and I think the fact that well, that for all the major series when they moved there this year, with the COVID pandemic, of course, being as serious as it was, series like NASCAR, Indycar, F1, all moving online, and it really not feeling too out of the ordinary compared to the normal racing you'd watch on live television. So it's good to see. It's good to see that the world of racing will be pretty much good no matter what happens, of course, unless we have a a pandemic that somehow prevents people from living in their houses. Maybe it's transmitted through like household refrigerators or appliances or whatever, but well, that's all speculation for another day. And for now, we have racing to get to because Logan Paxa will be your race leader for our third green flag start of the day. Your second restart, of course. Lagging back a little bit are the drivers behind him. You see the two teammates there at MJ Motorsports of Max Preston and Justin Loic. That Porsche pace car will head off into the pits a moment from now, meaning Logan Paxa will once again be your race leader for a restart. Getting ready. You see the lights there in the pace car are off. This time maybe we're going to go a little bit different. We're going to go to a rear camera there on Logan Pax's car. Give you a better idea of just how good of a start he gets as he comes out of this final right-hand turn. I like the car design for sure. It contrasts well with his number, but he is going to head off, get on the gas pedal here. Green flag for the third time today at Watkins Glen International. Down the hill into that opening right-hand turn. Looking behind him, you see that's Max Preston chased him down there in the Arrow McLaren entry. Behind him, Justin Loic as well in a similar car. No incidents seeming to happen behind him. Looking there on the track map, doesn't look like anybody's fallen off too far. So, well, it was a great start for Logan Paxa, who didn't pit for tires, but let's check on the drivers a few spots back who did. Lead driver that headed into the pits that last time by was Michael Krobach. Head to a shot of him now. Actually, he looks like he may be almost getting passed here in a moment by Manuel Guerra on the outside. Looks to the inside, but thinks better of it. Maybe a pass happening back there, actually. Who was that? Devin Crosby trying to put a move on Rich Foligno. Wow. I mean, Rich Foligno, of course, a teammate of his. So, oh, sorry, was that Rich Foligno? Oh, somebody has gone around trying to avoid him desperately. Somebody gets in the wall. We do have a yellow flag? We'll have to check. Doesn't look like any major damage from anybody, but who was that went around? That was Marco Felice that went around in front of the field. Logan Ferguson with a little bit of nose damage. Unfortunately, it looks like he will need to come into the pits to repair it. Everybody did seem to get around the incident except for a select few drivers, so that was a tough one. That would have been a judgment call, but I'm going to say, oh, somebody in the background there as well. Jordan West seems to have lost the car. Huge crash. That's a caution, ladies and gentlemen.
Caution, yellow flag.
Well, again, apologies, ladies and gentlemen, for this new format we're needing to go to for the cautions, but hopefully all should be well over the course of the race. But speaking of not quite being so well, let's head on board with Jordan West here and see exactly what happened in that corner. The second time somebody's lost it there today. Actually, I think this is Jordan's second time having an incident there today. You see, he just loses the back end, hits the inside wall, bounces back out, and then huge contact with Devin Crosby. Spinning around, massive damage right in the middle of the track, but you know who that plays out well for is Marco Felice and Logan Ferguson, who even if the incident hadn't happened, you see them heading down pit road now, they would have had to come in to repair damage. Now, obviously, West has full car damage for sure, but Logan Ferguson as well, who actually didn't decide to pit this time by. You saw his kind of worked up nose there on the front. We'll actually head to his view and see how damaged his car is. I mean, you can just look at the nose. That is not the angle car noses are supposed to take. Important thing to mention, I also think his model isn't wearing gloves. So, kind of a funny thing I just noticed. But yeah, he has definite damage that even if he doesn't want to use a quick repair on it, which again, all the drivers have 2 tonight, as per usual, but, well, I would certainly consider about heading into the pits there, Logan, and trying to fix that. But, yeah, I mean, track position at a road course, especially when it's difficult to pass at as Watkins Glen, it will serve you right if you use it properly. So I don't quite blame drivers for maybe wanting to stay out and maintain their position. I mean, his position, granted, being currently 12th, just were too early into a run, I guess, to move up too much further than that. But, well, we're going to head to our race leader once again. That's Logan Paxa in the Logan Motorsports Spitfire car there, the gray and red entry. He's got 2 identical teammate cars behind him, the MJ Motorsports cars of Justin Loic and Max Preston, not in that order. But again, Max Preston's had a great week in practice. He's a very talented guy from my time watching him so far. And Justin Loic, as all of you will know, last season he was kind of my guy I was most surprised never ended up winning a race. The other guy I'd mentioned might be Devin Crosby at the Ovals, but he it seemed like always a bridesmaid, never quite the bride situation, but he came so close a few times. Well, tonight now he heads out with his teammate Max Preston, another very successful driver, and he's put in some good practice this week to my understanding, so I would by no means be surprised if Justin were to have a great race tonight. But really the wild card in all of this is our current leader, Mr. Logan Paxa. I mean, he has just been, he's been kind of a tour de force of racing the entire 12 races we've done in this series overall. Head on board here, and we're just going to check if the pace car lights head off next time by, but mean, Logan Paxton, the guy, I'll give him props. He's just seemed to, doesn't really have a weakness anywhere. I wouldn't say that he's necessarily bad at any sort of track. I mean, we head to ovals, and I mean, Michael Krobach, when I think of oval success, of course I'm going to think of him, because I believe he has swept every oval we've run in this series so far. But actually, Logan's going to head into the pits this time by. Looking behind him, it looks like the two MJ Motorsports teammates will as well. Both Justin Loic and Max Preston will head in. See the drivers heading down pit road there, but that means that now Michael Krobach will become your new race leader. You see him in the background there, heading past the screen in that blue car. Then behind him, Rich Foligno, the other teammate, LPM Blue. The top two drivers, both from the same team. Then Andrew Bedrosian, Marshall Crocker, Jean Guerra, Marco Felice, Jordan West, your drivers to stay out. After that, we'll see how the race off pit road goes. Maybe one of the MJ Motorsports guys will take less fuel and we'll get out before him, but I'd imagine Logan will make it out first. It was close, but Logan will beat Max Preston out of the pits. After that, Justin Loic will head out. And then I think in the background there, that is Mr. Josh Gallagher. Josh heads out, and so does Manuel Guerra, but Devin Crosby's still in his pit box for some reason. Not quite sure what the case with that is. He'll also get passed there by Logan Ferguson. He kind of did the same thing in our Talladega race as well. It felt like he had some mysteriously long pit stops at times, and not really sure of an exact reason why, but, well, you never know. You never know, do you? Now he'll head out. Not quite sure unless you're in the mind of the driver what's going on with their situation, but, well, we have a new race leader for the first time all race. He will get the bonus point on the restart, no doubt. As we see, I think the lights in the pace car are off, so we will go green this time by for our third restart of the day. But yeah, Michael Krobach, certainly, I guess the oval master, I dubbed him last week, but kind of an oval specialist driver himself. But when it comes to road courses, you can never really count him out either. I mean, he hasn't really faltered in any specific road course we've run in the last 12 races of our series as a whole. So he's a talented guy here that I think if he has a good race tonight, he can make a good name for himself for races other than the ovals throughout the course of our season. I'm trying to think of some races we go to in the next few weeks and how they'll play to Michael's strengths. I mean, next week, for those of you wondering, on Friday, we do take a brief break, a 5-day break for our season that runs on Fridays and Sundays this season. But for our third race of the season, we're going to head to Charlotte Motor Speedway, not the Roval like we did last season. As much as I love the Roval. Well, we will be running it later in the season, actually. But no, we head to the Charlotte Oval configuration that we ran for our All-Star race last year. However, we will not be running it in the NASCARs this season, as we have fittingly already run a NASCAR Oval race this year in our first race of the season. Now that we've run an IndyCar road course, feels only fitting, well, we're going to run an IndyCar Oval. So we're going to bring these same exact IndyCars with a very different setup to virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway for our third race of the season, one that I'm really excited for, 200 laps. So that may sound long, but it's a pretty quick track, and these cars can whip around that thing in about 28 seconds per lap. Our third restart of the night. Getting ready to go here. We're going to head once again to our rear camera there just to get a look behind Michael Krobach as he gets ready to go green here. He's going to watch that green flag fly out in front of him. Oh, we have the graphics seem to have disappeared, but green flag ready to go. Michael Krobach takes a trip on the loud pedal down into corner one. Teammate Rich Foligno heading in quite a ways by. Andrew Bedrosian might try to cut under him. Nice pass there. Rich heads to the outside. Andrew almost immediately picks him off. I gotta get all my graphics back on screen here, but there we go. So, wow, what an impressive first corner there. Andrew just flies straight under Rich Foligno, but now he's got to defend that spot he just took from him. On the backstretch, Rich Foligno is going to try to head to the inside. Is Andrew going to block? Doesn't seem to, but I'm wondering if Rich just headed into the draft too early, and I think he did. I don't think he quite had the slipstream he needed. He started to drop back way off the pace there once he got out of his slipstream, so not quite sure what happened there. But, oh, back in the field, we're seeing a pass happen somewhere. Max Preston, who occasionally has internet issues, but we get a good view behind him. That's Justin Loooc making a pass on, I think, both Logan Ferguson and Jordan West? No, that's John Guerra, sorry. So we head up the very difficult right-hander here. I think drivers probably won't go full speed just out of fear of spinning here once again, as many of them have already. Up in the field a little bit, Marco Felice is now going to try to make a pass on Marshall Crocker Sr. No, but Marshall will shut the door, and now it means that Justin Loic is on the... sorry, that's Max Preston. I keep mixing up the two Aero cars. Max Preston now trying to make a move on Marco Felice. My father, Marshall Crocker, will defend for the time being, but again, this is a very close battle between those gentlemen. Let's throw up our battle box for the first time in a little while, just to give you a good idea how close those drivers are. Marshall Crocker will get passed by Marco Felice, and now he's got to try to defend from Max Preston, the other driver running in that general vicinity of his. Max is going to head to the inside as we head down into corner one. Is he going to try to defend for position, or Oh, they head side by side. Closes him off a bit, but nice move by Preston to make it work. So he will successfully make it through there. We appear to have had an incident. He does go around. So Marshall Crocker Sr. heads around. Let's see what kind of damage he has. Got big nose damage, but well, it was a solo incident. So unfortunately not quite to the point where I can throw a caution for it. But ahead of him on track, Michael Krobach was now starting to pull out a lead from Andrew Bedrosian behind him. It appeared that Manuel Guerra was back there in the field a little ways, but it looked like he didn't end up getting caught in an incident or anything there. So that was good to see. It means that, well, if my dad is able to come back. Oh, somebody's, we've lost connection from quite a few drivers. Oh, we appear to have lost signal here, so we will head briefly to commercial and try to get this all reset. Now everybody's back on track. Not quite sure exactly what happened there. That was an issue we haven't had in a little while, so there we go. The stream appears to be back to healthy. Sorry about that little blip there, ladies and gentlemen. But, oh, I may need to even crank the car audio up a little bit. Michael Krobach will head around for the second green flag lap on this stint. Bringing away a pretty decent lead there from Andrew Bedrosian, about 2.5 so far. So, well, yeah, we did have a brief break in the connection on my end there. So let's check back in the field and see if Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, is still chugging along there with his front nose damage. He appears to be almost making a pass here on Logan Ferguson, who may also have damage. I expect Marshall will come into the pits this time by. Actually decides against it, so apparently that damage is only cosmetic and doesn't actually affect his race performance, which, I mean, surprises me a little bit if I'm honest. But hey, I mean, he's making it work. Rich Foligno on the inside of Marco Felice is going to head around here. The two drivers going side by side. Will he be able to make the pass work? Who's that right behind him? Logan Paxa chasing in behind Rich Foligno, heads out of the draft. Can he go all the way around? He will, so Logan makes the pass on Rich. And now I think he's about to set up a pass on Marco Felice. We head down into the chute here as we enter the boot section. We're going to head to a chopper camera, which hopefully doesn't go behind a tree, which is all too often in this series. That does tend to happen, but well, Logan now starting to chase down Marco Felice there as we head up into this tough right-hand uphill section through the boot. He's right there in his draft, but just doesn't quite seem close enough to be able to make something happen. And into this right-hand section again, this wider turn that's proved very difficult for a lot of drivers. You kind of tend to wash out a little bit there, but somebody has gone around here. Josh Gallagher has had an incident. He's got huge nose damage. Doesn't appear to be major, but he's lost the engine of the car. This will be a caution, ladies and gentlemen. We have a car stopped on track.
The yellow flag is out.
Got the border there again, but well, we will quickly check in just what happened with Josh Gallagher there that gave him so much damage coming through the corner there. Looking from our chopper camera, that very tough upper right hill section that I talked about earlier. Yeah, really just kind of loses the back, gets on the gas a little too early, sends it into the wall. Huge nose damage there that as he came into the corner, I was thinking his engine was actually going, hence why it was incident worthy of a caution, but that'll also give a chance for Logan Ferguson to fix his damage as well that he accrued from his solo crash a few laps before. Yeah, just tries to move out of the way though for the other cars, which is good of him, but yeah, that's just a tough incident. It's a really tough corner. There's a lot of tough little sections to this Watkins Glen International track, so not really honestly too surprised that it's proving so difficult for many drivers, as even in real life, the Indy guys have quite a bit of issue here all the time. Interesting where the pace car has decided to pick up the field. I think that must be the case, otherwise Marco Felice is just running... Well, Marco is just kind of running off the pace here, not exactly sure why. But everybody is kind of bunched up on Marco Felice. I don't see the pace car. The caution is out, but not quite sure where the pace car is on track. We'll see as Michael heads out through the first corner once again for lap 20. So now two-fifths of the way through our race, 40%. As we get to the 1 hour mark on the broadcast. I'd like to thank you guys again, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm going to go to a break in a moment, but I'd like to thank you all once again for watching. Good to see we have a good little viewer base tonight going, so good to see we have some people back out here. Again, as usual, if you want to show this to anybody that's interested, you think in watching, or any relatives or friends of anybody in the race that you know that would be interested, feel free to send them the link, because I'm happy to broadcast to as many people out there as would like to watch. And I know occasionally we do have some minor issues with technology and stuff. I find my internet connection doesn't always seem to be my best friend here for these races, but well, it's been pretty good the last few. Unfortunately, just a quick blip a moment ago, but well, it's the nature of technology is to be expected. You're always going to have little issues like that. So looks like the stream health appears to be back to normal, which means we are going to head to commercial briefly, just back to a side-by-side as we did before. I'm going to throw it in rear chase camera here just to get a good view on Michael and the car behind him, that being Andrew Bedrosian running in second. And we will go to a side-by-side, and we'll be back momentarily.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And with that, we are back to race 2 of the Karts to Computers Racing Series, Season 2. Your current race leader, Michael Krobach, who was leading, I think, at the start of the last segment, but, well, with all the cars pitting on the previous segment that were up there in the lead, including Logan Paxa, meant that it put Mr. Michael Krobach there at the head of our field, and he maintained it over the course of that 3-lap stint. So we see Josh Gallagher pitting there that last time by through the pits, so now it is his task to catch up to the rest of the field. 14 drivers tonight. Again, a pretty good turnout. I'm happy with that, including the return of Marco Felice and a few more teams being rounded out. There's still a few drivers that I think were meant to be at least semi-full-time who haven't made it into a race yet this season. Samuel McEachern, who was definitely a top driver at the beginning of last season. I think he rattled off about 3 or 4 top 3s in a row and just seemed to be, I dubbed him Captain Consistency, but he was also Captain Pace, and several drivers are going to head into the pits this time by. Kind of surprised that is the case, but Michael Krobach will enter the pits with Andrew Bedrosian in behind him. Who else is there? Rich Foligno heads into the pits, and Marsh Crocker Sr., my father, will also head in, as well as one of the Diabolique Motorsports cars. That's Manuel Guerra heading in, as well as Devin Crosby. So a number of drivers are going to head in this time by. We'll watch the race off pit road, see who indeed is able to get out of the pits first. I'd imagine probably Michael Krobach if I had to guess, but there you go. He's on the gas pedal, heads out. Andrew Bedrosian will follow in close behind him. Next after that is Rich Foligno, I believe, in the other Ladpeta Motorsports blue car. Then looking back a little bit further in the field, that is, I believe, Devin Crosby's going to head out this time by. Devin exits the pits, Manuel Guerra right behind him, so looks like no major difficulties for anybody in the pits, which is good to see. Which means your new race leader, I believe for the first time this race, and will now get a bonus point if he's able to start the next segment as the leader, which I believe he should. Yep, the lights on the pace car are off, so he has no chance to come into the pits for tires or anything. So Marco Felice will gain the bonus point for leading a lap and will now take us to green for our fourth restart of the day. Wow, I mean, Marco Felice, he's currently an individual driver. He will be paired with a team once we get another driver looking for one that is able to make it out to the required number of races for this season. But, well, Marco unfortunately missed race 1, but as the same with last season, we are going to have drop races over the course of the year. I promise you guys I did want to try to find the point standings before the race tonight, but we have them all there. Well, we are here. I might even read a few of them off for you just to let you know who our current championship leaders are. Let me just pull them up in the background for those of you wondering. That's not it. There we go. So, your current championship leader after winning... Oh goodness, we've had this pop up again. But yeah, your current championship leader after winning the first race of our season, Michael Krobach, with 33 points. After that, Josh Gallagher coming in second with 26. Andrew Bedrosian rounding up the top 3 in the championship with 23. Rich Foligno with 22 after that in 4th position. Tied with... after that is Jordan West, not tied with, according to my spreadsheet. Jordan West in 5th with 18 points. After that, Logan Paxa all the way in 6th currently for the first race of the season. That is a major change from last year, where he was a pretty dominant force in the championship all year and went on to win it. After that, it is Devin Crosby in 7th position with 16 points. Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, with 12 in 8th position. Manuel Guerra in 9th with 11 points. John Guerra and Justin Loic tied with 10 points each in 10th position. And rounding it out in 12th position is Logan Ferguson. Of course, with a few drivers joining us tonight, that will change, but quickly the team standings in order. I will not name the exact points because we're about to go green, but Lad Pedal Motorsports Blue leads the series in points with 55. Then Lad Pedal Motorsports Green, the 2 LPM teams, are leading the championship. After that, we have Logan Motorsports, Diabolique Motorsports, MJ Motorsports, and Blackout Racing, made up of Jordan West and Frankie Esposito once he is able to make it out to a race. So, with that being said, we're getting ready to go green here. 4th restart of the day. Marco Felice will take us to his first one of the day. Maybe we'll head on board with Marco Felice here for this restart. Sorry if that's a little bit loud, ladies and gentlemen, but green flag, here we go. Marco will take us into corner 1. I think he got a pretty good jump there, if I do say correctly. Actually, somebody in the background there, we're going to head too wide. Not quite sure if a pass was made there, but somebody in the background just went around, I believe. That was... No, Jordan West headed off track momentarily, but everybody appears to be okay. No, Jordan West has gone around. Let's check on him and see if there's anything wrong with his car. No serious damage, so we will continue under green. But back up to the lead, Marco Felice as Logan Paxad, who was inside. I was going to say, Logan got a great restart on that last green flag, so there he goes. Somebody else might go under. Who was that? Max Preston has the door closed there by Felice, so... Well, Marco says, I'm going to let Logan under you, but I'm not letting 2 there, so... Well, he will hold off Mr. Max Preston, but... So Logan Paxad will take over the lead of this race once again, once the pit cycles all got figured out. Well, he is pit stopped down on Michael Krobach and some of the guys in the midfield, but... Oh, somebody in the background, it's Marco Felice, goes around. Let's see if Marco is able to save it. There we go. They got a big crash here. That's a caution.
The yellow flag is out.
Well, again, hopefully that caution graphic did work to perfection, allowing me to quickly throw the caution there. But yeah, you saw Marco coming up the hill here. You see him coming up through that long right-hand sweeper there. He had just been made, the pass had been made on him by Logan Paxad. And yeah, in an attempt to try to get back up to speed to make the pass there, he just got on the gas too quick. Now let's look around him here, because he did make contact with somebody else. Yeah, huge contact with Devon Crosby, one of the LPM green cars, completely flipped over. Meaning I think Devin will actually need to tow back to the pits, which is never what you want to see for a driver, because it means it adds so much more time to his ability to catch up. But Jordan West also will need to head to the pits as well. He sustained damage previous, I think, on the very first corner of the race. So, well, with that, Logan Paxad does once again become your race leader for, I believe, the 3rd restart of the day. He was your pole sitter by a fairly sizable margin, almost a half second up on anybody else for his qualifying time, but finds himself in a similar situation to earlier. Those 2 MJ Motorsports cars of Max Preston and Justin Loic will now follow in behind, almost to the halfway point of our race here, which actually means we're going at a fairly decent pace so far. Certainly compared to our Talladega race, which was quite a bit longer. But Devin Crosby heads into the pits, now needs to get some damage repaired. Already a lap down somehow, which does surprise me. I guess just because of the fact that he had to come in via a, well, what's the word I'm looking for? He had to get towed in. That's what I was trying to say. So the fact that he had to get towed in means he will lose a lap, and Marco Felice will now hit into the pits and presumably use his quick repair. So he should have 1 left, I believe, at minimum. We'll quickly change up our timing tower. I know currently we have the driver numbers displayed, and I may throw them back up later, but let's just put up the number of pit stops for each driver tonight. Interesting to note, because Logan Paxad, Max Preston, Justin Loic, and Manuel Guerra, your top 4 in tonight's race at the moment, all running on 1 stop. After that, Michael Krobach and Andrew Bedrosian leading the charge with 2 each. After that, Marshall Crocker Sr., Logan Ferguson both have 1. Rich Foligno running with 3. I believe he was involved in, I think, 1 or 2 incidents earlier, one of which I believe required a quick repair, so hence had to go into the pits to fix it. Marco Felice still in the pits, it would appear, so I'm wondering if he didn't have a quick repair, and he does indeed need to wait there and see if his damage is fixable. I think Devin should have another one. If he does, no more, he might be out of the race permanently, but well, after that, Josh Gallagher has 4 entire stops at this point. We may see more this time by. I'd imagine we'll probably have 5 or 6 drivers head in. Looks like there's kind of 2 strategies going for the drivers. Half of them are coming into pit early, and half of them are waiting a little bit longer. Logan does traditionally seem to be somebody who pits earlier rather than later, so maybe going away from the norm when it comes to his strategies. But now Michael Krowak becomes the one pitting earlier. Traditionally, they kind of pit in an opposite pattern, but this time they will follow each other in suit. So that should about round out your pit stops for tonight. So it'll be interesting to see. I'd imagine Logan Paxton will come in this time now that pit road is open. Let's see if that is indeed the case. I think we're going to take another brief break momentarily, but well, for the time being, we'll at least see if Logan does decide to come into the pits. We're going to follow on board in behind him here to see if he takes that hard right-hander in to get fuel and tires. They always do go late just to try to fake out the ones behind him. No, he decides not to, so the lights on the pace car should head off this time, meaning we will be 1 to green. Certainly hope so. I believe that will be the case. Yep, they're off this time, so we will go green the next time by. For the time being, let's just check on who did go into the pits. Oh, several drivers. We've got Andrew Bedrosian going to head in once again. Pitted not too many laps ago, but he's going to come back in, I guess, for tires or maybe a little bit of damage left over there. Logan Ferguson going to head in. We see Jordan West passing him. And in the background, that is Josh Gallagher in the other LPM green car who has his damage fixed and will head out. Good to see as well the 2 other drivers that came into the pits, Marco Felice and Devin Crosby, have their damage fixed and have returned to the track. So we will have all 14 drivers suited up and ready to go for at least the beginning of the second half of our race when lap 25 begins in just a moment.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we're back with coverage of the second round of the 2020 Karts to Computers iRacing Series, the second season. It is important to note. Overall, I think I've had a pretty enjoyable start to our season thus far. It's been pretty competitive racing overall. I know that early last season when we headed to the road courses, well, we were kind of getting an adjustment period to the series, so a lot of guys just didn't quite have the practice time they would have liked. I know I was certainly unable to host quite as many practice sessions back then, but now that we've kind of got a more official setup for the series and everybody's able to get more practice time and get more practice races, certainly, they're better able to practice their time and, you know, being able to make safe passes, ones that don't result in risky moves that lead to too many cautions. I know tonight I think this is our 4th one of the night, but I certainly think it's an improvement on the racing from last year. We've seen some good racing product thus far, so I'm looking forward to our 15-race season this year for round 2 of the Karts to Computers Racing Series. Max Preston flips in and out there a little bit. I know a few of our drivers do have connectivity difficulties every once in a while, so hopefully those aren't too bad tonight. We can get all of our drivers here without any netcode issues or without fading out or anything. So, well, we get ready to watch Logan Paxton take the field to green for his 3rd time tonight. Overall, I believe it's our 6th green flag of the race. Heading out here through our 3rd to last corner before we watch the pace car take the hard left into pit road, or sorry, hard right into pit road. And then Logan Paxton will lead the field to green, with Max Preston, Justin Loic, John Guerra, and Michael Krowak behind him, rounding out the top 5. After that, a few drivers who had incidents that were able to come back out with a newly repaired race car. Marco Felice, Devin Crosby, and Jordan West included. Now we get ready to go green. We're going to go to our blimp camera this time, something a little different as we get ready to go green. Logan Paxa is on the loud pedal, on the gas, getting ready to go green here at Watkins Glen International. He will now pass the pace car, pass the finish line, and head into corner 1. Back a little ways behind him, Max Preston chases him in behind. We're actually going to stick with this view for a little bit because this is kind of nice. Justin Looock, the second of the 2 McLaren identical MJ Motorsports teammates. Looking around to see if any incidents. Doesn't appear to be, so Michael Krowak, John Guerra in the middle, right in front of a battle actually between Rich Foligno and Marshall Crocker Sr. for 7th overall. 6th overall. Rich Foligno is able to make that pass, but behind Marshall Crocker is getting passed by several drivers. We're going to go to our chopper camera. Sorry if we're a little bit loud here, ladies and gentlemen, but Marshall Crocker is about to be stuck in the middle of a 3 wide, heads to the outside, almost gets hit by, I think that's Logan Ferguson. Manages to avoid, but up ahead, that's Andrew Bedrosian, Jordan West, who I think were able to make passes. He is just, I'm not sure if it's tires or what, but he's starting to move backwards. They go 3 wide there. almost into West. Somebody hits Foligno. Rich Foligno, Jordan West got into it for a moment there. Crocker will give up. Crocker has damage. Marshall Crocker Sr. has damage to his front nose. Doesn't look serious enough to actually throw a caution for because it's just a little bit of car damage, but rough luck because I don't think he would have any quick repairs left. Now Marco Felice is going to throw it to the inside. Just dropping positions one, but he's got major damage. Yeah, he went in there way later than his breaking point would suggest, so he must have enough car damage that it's significantly affecting his racing. Marco Felice heads around. Will drivers be able to avoid it? I think they will. There's just chaos happening on this very first lap. Marco's got damage, but manages to generally avoid everybody. Logan Ferguson's in the wall. We're going to have to call a caution here, ladies and gentlemen.
The yellow flag is out.
Well, for the fifth time in this race, we will have yet another caution, and I'm gonna have to go back individually to each driver to see exactly what happened to them because there's kind of three little separate incidents there that all led to the caution. Let's first look at what happened to Marco Felice that gave him that nose damage that he shows there. Coming up again, he made the pass here on Marshall Crocker Sr. there that wiped out there with his car damage to his front nose. Car's all fine here. He's chasing in behind. I think that's John Garrett at the time, and gets in a little hot, makes contact with his front nose off the wall. I think that was kind of unprovoked overall, but makes contact with Manuel Guerra, the other Diabolique Motorsports car, and he had significant nose damage. Now we're going to head to Logan Ferguson, who is our, right as I cut away from that, he had also spun, which is hence why we threw the caution. So Logan makes it by the incident there with Marco. Marco heads around, makes contact with John. Marco heads around. I think Logan's able to avoid both drivers, but I guess his entry through the corner, he tried to get back up to speed too quick, lost it, and then backed into the wall there. So overall, there's several chaotic incidents that led to that caution, but, well, Ferguson appears to be back up to speed, and that means Logan Paxel will remain your race leader. I feel kind of bad because we've just had so many caution laps here tonight, but, well, the drivers asked for more consistent cautions because obviously traditionally I can't be in there to direct the races as I would normally like to, and iRacing unfortunately doesn't do automatic cautions for road course races, meaning I am unable to do them that way. So, well, this is kind of our only way to do it, and with this many cautions, we're going to have to throw the yellow flag this many times. So we passed the halfway point of our race. Logan Paxel will cross the finish line for the 27th lap of the race overall. Trailing in behind are the two MJ Motorsports teammates of Max Preston and Justin Loic. Then after that, Michael Krobach, followed by Andrew Bedrosian there in the all-orange entry you see in the background. Actually, you know what? Maybe we'll do an official through the field that we normally used to do, kind of our little segment that we've done here on the Karts to Computers Racing Series broadcast. So, currently, oh, sorry, I can even pull his lap time up. There we go. So, oh, that's not quite what I want. Okay, well, point is, your current race leader, Logan Paxa, as he sits in the first position. That was his third restart there that he's been on the pole for. Now he will go to his fourth leading the field to green, provided, of course, he doesn't pit for a second time, which I believe he's already done 2 pit stops this race. Maybe I'm wrong. He might have only done 1, but overall, he is your race leader, and I doubt he would go into the pits again if not necessary for tires, because, well, we only did go 1 lap, and he ran most of that time under caution otherwise, so I do have doubts that he would pit this time, but hey, you never know. I mean, strategy is very complex, and I'm obviously not currently in the race, so I can't attest to anybody else's strategies, but Logan Paxton, defending race series champion, hence why he drives the number 1, and he is currently leading the race in one that actually surprisingly hasn't been a super dominant situation, but not so much because of his pace under green, but more so just because we've spent so much time under caution. But Logan Paxa is your current race leader. After that, Max Preston and Justin Loic. Max Preston, of course, making his second start in the series. I believe he finished 8th in the previous race there at Talladega Superspeedway. Had a pretty good performance overall there in the 8 car. I don't think he was quite able to make the moves he needed to in order to avoid the wrecks that inevitably happened there at a few times in our Talladega race. So, unfortunately, maybe not quite the finishing position he would have liked, but now he sits second in a very comfortable position. As I talked about, he was quick in practice all week, so a guy that I would expect to do pretty well in tonight's race once we're actually able to get to green and run some real laps. Behind him, Justin Loic, his teammate there at MJ Motorsports. MJ, of course, for those wondering, named after Max and Justin respectively, not Michael Jordan or anything like that. But Justin Loic has moved up 2 positions since the start of tonight's race. ran a best lap of just over at 1:28, so he's been running pretty quick on his own when he gets the chance. Justin, of course, third place in tonight's race behind his teammate. Then behind him, Michael Krobach, well, he's currently your championship leader, but it doesn't feel like that's totally a proper title after only one race of the season thus far. But he did win that one race in quite impressive fashion, pushing his teammate Rich Foligno up there to the front. Rich would end up finishing 4th there for LPM Blue, hence why LPMB is the current leader in our championship points in terms of the team standing. But, well, Michael was able to win the race. He orchestrated a lot of what happened in that race overall and kind of a quarterback for his team. And now he moves over to a road course that, overall, I know he's not super familiar with the IndyCars at road courses, so he's not in his own time, but he knows Watkins Glen, and he's now going to... he faked heading into the pits there, it would appear. Somebody there in the back is going to legitimately come in. That's John Guerra, as well as Rich Foligno. Josh Gallagher will also come in, but meaning Michael will maintain his position. Nobody ahead of him did pit, including Logan Paxa, so one more lap until we go green. But after that, we head back one spot to Andrew Bedrosian, a driver making his 3rd overall career start in the Karts to Computers Racing Series, now rocking the orange, black, and white livery he has there in the 22. Andrew finished in 3rd in our very first race of the series. He technically finished 2nd on track, but he did have some long-term penalties as a result of collisions throughout the race that iRacing assigned him a time penalty that did move him back to 3rd. But man, I mean, 2nd on track at a race like Talladega, that was an impressive start for him. And I mean, tonight he qualified up pretty well, so it's impressive to see that he's having a good race at a very different discipline. And overall, I think he'll be a great contender for us this season. And if he's sitting in 5th right now, 3rd in the championship, well, I think it bodes well for Mr. Bedrosian. I think he's going to have a good season there. After that, Jordan West in the 6th position. I know he's had a few incidents today. He got into the wall, the exact same wall, I think twice. That exit to the boot there, that I think, how many degrees is that? Probably like a 300-degree left-hander. I think that's about the correct number there. But yeah, that very difficult exit to the boot there that he keeps getting on the gas a little bit hard there. The one time, of course, with an incident surrounding him. So he's just pushing the car really hard, and you got to respect that from a driver who's all the way up in 6th. So having a successful race overall, if he can just get the car under him and run some consistent laps under green, maybe he can make some moves up through the field and go for his, I think it would be his 1st or 2nd podium of his career in the series. After that, Devin Crosby, a guy with another driver to mention who had a very successful race last time we were out here at the Karts to Computers Racing Series on Friday night. At Talladega, he did come across the field, I think 7th in the end, but not necessarily by any fault of his own. He was just involved in that late incident that I showed you guys in the race recap, where both himself and Logan Paxa were taken out by Rich Foligno with a side draft on Paxa, where there was just a little bit of a miscommunication, sent a couple of drivers around, and unfortunately ran into quick repairs. So Devon Crosby almost won that race, came so close, but came out with good points, and now he's already running well in our race tonight. I'm going to kind of speed through the rest of the drivers here because we're about to head back to green. We got quite a few to go, but Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, with significant damage to the front of his car, but doesn't seem to be slowing him down one bit. He's had a pretty quick race overall today. He's still hasn't quite decided, I think, whether he's going to be a full-time driver in our series, but this is his 2nd time running this year, so it's good to see my father back out and doing well overall. Moved up 4 positions from the start of the race. Manuel Guerra, one of the 2 Oblique Motorsports cars, had a great race at Talladega the other day. I know he's a guy that I don't think in his background comes from a lot of oval experience, but he did well there. And last week at Talladega, after that, Logan Ferguson, the other of the 2 Logan Motorsports cars, his teammates leading the race, but he is back in 10th position, running at the top 10. After that, Marco Fleece, Rich Foligno, John Guerra, and Josh Gallagher will round out the field of drivers for tonight's race. Got to head back up to the front of the field very quickly because Logan Paxa is about to take the field back to green for the 4th time that he's done it this race, and I think the 7th time overall. So pace car will take the hard right into the pits. We get ready to go green here. We're going to head back to our blimp camera and watch the start here for Logan Paxa.
Green flag, green flag.
He's on the gas pedal right now, but he didn't get nearly as big of a jump that time as he had so far this race. Green, green, green this time. We head into the very first corner. Getting a very wide pan shot of just the situation here at the start of our stint here. We look and see Max Preston and Justin Loooc, I think, battling for position there, and 2nd behind them. They are indeed. Somebody just went around in the back of the field. 13th position, that's Marco Felice. We'll check on him quickly. He's getting a tow to the pits, so I guess decided against waiting for a caution, whatever his incident was. But to the inside there, Justin Loooc is going to make the pass and Max Preston behind. So now the 2 MJ cars shuffling spots. That's Michael Krobach is going for the pass on Preston as well. He's coming closer. We're going to look behind Max Preston just to see if that move is able to happen. behind that's Krobach. Behind Krobach is Andrew Bedrosian there, and the other orange car on the back of your screen. See if everybody's able to make it up here clean. Nobody gets on the gas too quick, so good to see. We go clean through that corner this time by. Nobody else on track appears to have too much damage. Jean Guerra is running off the pace at the moment, but well, we come through the end of the boot here, this final time through it this lap. Here we go through the, as we see, exiting the boot. Justin Loic appears to be pulling away from Max Preston as we come back to the end of our first lap under green here. But Michael Krobach, impressive push through the field that time by. I don't know if he made a pass there. I think he may have made one on Jordan West at the start of the stint because he was fifth when we went green, but he's all the way up to fourth now. Michael trying to chase him down into corner one here. Didn't quite use he didn't use the push to pass, it would appear, that time by. Or in the draft, wasn't able to get him up to him before corner one did begin. So Max Preston will hold the position for now, but we come out of that long backstretch where passes are very easily able to happen. Behind as well, Jordan West with Devin Crosby chasing in behind him. We'll have to see if Devin heads to the outside and decides to make the move happen there. No, Jordan will head to the chopper camera just to better see if there is indeed a pass here. Jordan's able to hold off Devin, but now Devin may try the undercut through the sweeper. Jordan's going to block, but now Devin's got the outside into the entrance to the boot. Might go all the way around if he's able. Jordan's going to give him the line. Jordan bobbles a little bit, but going to go side by side. Make contact. Jordan gets up on the side. Devin Crosby gets into him. Caution once again. Here.
Caution, yellow flag.
Well, it was a great battle for the time being. Super entertaining stuff, but unfortunately just kind of a miscommunication there between Jordan West and Devin Crosby. You see here coming into the boot, Devin gets to the outside. Looks like he has enough of a run to make it all the way around, but he comes through. Jordan just gets kind of a burst of speed on corner exit. They get side by side and rides up on the side of Devin. Huge crash there. Flipping over and over goes Jordan West, bouncing around. I don't think the car would bounce like that in real life, but far too much damage that the two drivers had to tow it back to the pits. The drivers around them unfortunately had to pit as well. So overall, I think he should be sitting in the pits as we speak. Who is involved in that? He has damage. Who is that he's with? Is that Logan Ferguson there? So Jordan was upside down. I'm not sure what he was doing. I would have thought he would just automatically get a tow, but maybe they had a deal that somebody would push him over so he could just drive back to the pits. I'm not sure what exactly happened there, but well, the point being is that we are under our fifth caution of the race on lap 31 of 50. So, sorry, that was our sixth caution of the race, I should say. Getting reasonably close to the end, but we had another incident. This is kind of becoming a war of attrition here. That was the word I was trying to remember the other day, ladies and gentlemen, in the broadcast, for those of you wondering. I know there was a few times there where I was looking for a word, and I found it after the broadcast, unfortunately, which is not quite early enough to the point where I need it. Oh, we have this full screen thing going again. It's my just part of the iRacing server, but unfortunately it keeps popping up. Well, we're just looking around here at the rest of the field. Jordan West appears to have crashed again. It looks like the damage there that he sustained in that last incident is just making it tough to get around the track. So he spun multiple times. What in the world is going on in this straightaway? So Jordan comes out. This is up the hill through the boot in that back straightaway there. Trying to keep it straight, but is spinning around. He really needs to get that thing back to the pits, or at least maybe tow it, because if the leaders are able to catch up to him, going entirely backwards there. Wow, this is never what you quite want to see with cars coming up to catch up to him in the field, but I don't think it happened to be an issue that time by. So Jordan did get back up to speed, and now I think he's almost made it to the pits. He's exiting the boot as we speak, so well, good to see that he might be able to make it back to the pits without too much issue. But the pace car lights do remain on, so we will not go green this time by, meaning that drivers now have a chance to get pit stops if need be. Logan Paxo once again remaining your race leader there. Pulled away pretty decently there with the two MJ Motorsports cars of Justin Loic and Max Preston fighting it for position. But Logan Paxo will remain your race leader. I think he should have to pit this time by. He's only got one pit stop the entire race, and again, if my hypothesis of about 20 laps on a tank of gas is correct, then he will need to come into the pit soon. I will just pull up our pit strategy graphic there just to check on who has been out how long. So the stint length for the top three drivers here, Paxo, Loic, and Preston, they all pitted exactly 16 laps ago. So lap 15 they did come into the pits. So after a 14-lap first stint and a 16-lap stint up till now, I wouldn't be surprised if they did come into the pits this time by. If that were the case, Michael Krobach would become the new leader of our race. And really, overall, when it comes to leading, Krobach and Paxa are kind of the two biggest threats to our race right now because, well, Marco Felice, who was leading earlier, he did have one green flag start to his name. He has now moved back a full lap. It'll be 2 when the drivers pass him through the pits here, unless he's able to get out of the pits right now. But I think he just has too much substantial damage to avoid having to fix. So Logan makes the late move into pit road. He actually manages to fake everybody else out because nobody else really did come into the pits with him. So see there in the background on pit road is Logan Paxa, meaning the 2 MJ Motorsports cars of Justin Loic and Max Preston will lead the field now. Other drivers to enter the pits, notably, were Josh Gallagher, Manuel Guerra, Devin Crosby, and Jordan West and Marco Felice were already there. Jordan has now been there. He's been in his box almost a full minute now, so hopefully everything is all right for Jordan West, who I know had significant damage there after the incident, but I guess he wouldn't have quick repairs there if he were still in the pits right now. So Loic and Preston, 17 laps on this current stint. They're not going to come into the pits. The pace car lights are off, so we'll go green this next time by. And I would seriously doubt that we're going to go green the entire rest of the race. But still, that being said, like, it's a bold move there to try to go the rest of the race on significant issues on the stream. Oh, there we go. Appear to be back in business there, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, the internet dropped out once again. Still trying to find the perfect way so that it doesn't quite drop out in the places that I need to be able to broadcast. So overall, I'm from a new location tonight that I'm trying to do it from. So the internet hung in there for a little bit, but decided to drop out for the first time all race there. Hopefully the first and the last time this race. But looking around, just thank you to those of you in the chat tonight. I know it's not a huge turnout on the broadcast, but I mean, it's a Sunday, it's a work night. Well, no, by no means blaming anybody. So again, anybody else you think would enjoy watching the broadcast, I'm always happy to have as many out there as I can broadcast to as possible, because just you know, taking the time out to get the races set up. And I know it's always nice for the guys to see just how much attention the series might get, especially in races where they do well. So, well, thank you again for having you all here. And again, if you want to ask questions in the chat for cautions like this, I'm hoping this is the last major caution of the race. To have a 18 lap green flag stint to end the race would be wonderful. But it'll be 17 to go the next time we come by. But quick hello to those of you in the chat that I know are very very frequent regulars. I believe you're all family members of Logan Paxa, who did just pit, but I think he is effectively one of the 2 main race leaders here besides Michael Krobach. But currently your real race leader is Justin Loic, and if he's able to get a good start and somehow manage to conserve his field at the end of the race, well, he could come across with his very first win of the entire series as a whole, let alone Season 2. So, well, the pace car will get ready to take that hard right into the pits this next time by. We're going to go to our blip cam, which I think is always a very nice way to demonstrate the starts. We hid behind a few trees there, but you see just all the camping area and all the facilities here at wonderful Watkins Glen International in New York State. But the 2 MJ Motorsports cars are going to bunch up real close. You see them there on the middle of your screen. They get on the gas pedal. Off they go. Green flag for the 7th time this race. Max Preston and Justin Loic head down into the first corner. Loic currently as the leader, but well, you see there, Loic kind of got a bit of a bobble in corner 1, but even bigger one for Max Preston. He's got Michael Krobach right on his tail as we come up through the S's. Michael right behind him. We'll actually cut to a rear chase camera on Max Preston just so we can get a better view of what he's got behind him. Michael, obviously, as they get on the limiter on the straightaway, the setup package doesn't quite allow for them to make passes here, but never mind. Straight Justin Loic. Oh, we have horrible time for the feed to drop out right there. We do return. There we go. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that was a... Are we okay? There we go. Starting to get the stream health back up. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, again. I know it was starting to glitch out there a little bit, but in the meantime, Justin Loic is heading backwards. I'm really not sure what exactly inspired this sudden change in speed, but he made the move on Max Preston on that very last stint, but, well, he almost immediately gave that position up to Preston on the backstretch there. Then he gave it up to Krobach. Somebody in the background there with significantly off the pace. That's Logan Ferguson, but we come into corner 1, still being chased as Max Preston by Michael Krobach. Then back in the field a little ways is Andrew Bedrosian there in the 22 car, who also got past Loic. But Loic, I'm not sure if it's tires or what, but he is heading backwards. Earlier up in the field, further up in the field, John Guerra, actually back in the field, appears to have crashed. Doesn't have significant damage, so he will continue on without a green flag, or without a yellow flag. But up through the S's here, once again, is going to be a defense from Max Preston. Last time he was able to make the move on Loic and then had to defend from Michael at the end, but now he's got to defend all the way down the straightaway here. We're going to go to our chopper camera. Oh, a huge move there by Max Preston, able to hold off Krobach, but wow, that was an aggressive swing to the outside. Manages to get away with it without damage, but wow, what a big move by Preston to try to hold the lead there on Krobach. Krobach being chased actually now by Andrew Bedrosian, who's made up some ground to the two drivers in front of him. Behind Bedrosian is also Justin Loooc, who, as I mentioned a moment ago, did start this current stint under green, but was unable to hold that position for very long. So Loooc now being chased down technically by Foligno, but Rich Foligno is a few seconds back of those guys, actually about, being chased by Logan Paxa, who's actually only a half-second back. Somebody just spun in the back. That's Justin Loooc. I mentioned before with the tires and everything, he is on the middle of the track, but he doesn't have significant damage, so if he can get back up to speed, we won't go to a caution, which he appears to be able to, but he's got to watch those tires now, because dirty tires after getting in the gravel. This is a tricky corner, too. Let's see if he's able to make it around all clean. He's off the pace, presumably just trying to get the heat and the proper traction back in his tires, but back to the front of the field as we cross under the flag stand. Kind of a cool view they provide there, but into corner one, Preston's still trying to defend for the lead. He's looking for his very first win of the entire Karts Computers Racing Series as a whole, running in only his second race. As I mentioned before, he had a very good race to open our season, but Logan Paxa, entering into the S's, is able to make the pass on Andrew Bedrosian, so Bedrosian now takes third position, trying to pull away from, Paxa takes third position, trying to pull away from Bedrosian. Further back in the field, Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, moves up to fifth, but he's being chased closely by Josh Gallagher and Manuel Guerra. Manuel Guerra, I think, looking for his first top 5 of the series. Josh Gallagher finishing second in our previous race, so he's had a good season to his name thus far. Going to go to our chopper camera once again just to see if he's able to defend here. Crocker Sr. does have significant nose damage, so it would be very tough to defend here, but he's able to. He stays to the outside, gets all the way around Gallagher. Nice move there by my dad. Props to him for that one. Manages to hold him off, and well, now Gallagher, I think, would have to defend from Manuel Guerra, who's a little bit too far back for a move right now, but heading into the towards the exit of the boot here as we head back up into this tricky left-hander. Now we got a 3-horse race for the lead, and arguably a 4-horse if Andrew is able to make up some ground to Paxa in front of him. But now we got Preston, Krobach, and Paxa, your top 3. This should be a good battle going forward. Logan Ferguson again with an incident of some sort there where he heads off the track, but Ferguson already had outstanding damage, so again, I can't quite throw the caution on that one. Rich Foligno also back in the field had an incident of his own, so overall, drivers just trying to get back up to speed here and stay caution-free. John Guerra also went around at some point there. The other Diabolique Motorsports car, not quite sure what the case was there, but he had the crash in corner one a moment ago, but now we might see a pass forming. Lap car up there in the field a little bit further ahead. That's Justin Loic there that we see a teammate of the driver that's actually getting passed right as we speak, trying to get to my chopper camera, but I can't quite in time. Michael Krobach will make the pass there on the outside. Now Logan is trying to chase down Max for second place. Max Preston has to defend from defending series champion Logan Paxa. He's going to leave the door open on the inside, but I think he should be able to close it on corner exit. They're going to go side by side. Logan pushes him up to the inside a little bit, but Max has the better entry into the corner. Is he going to be able to hold him off? They go side by side once again. Almost bumped tires, but Logan Paxa on the newer set of tires is able to make it by Max Preston. So nice move there by Logan. He'll move all the way up to second after, I believe, starting 5th on this current segment. But that's Justin Loic at the head of the field there. The MJ Motorsports driver, who I believe had to come into the pits to repair damage, but well, now is trying to defend Michael Krobach, trying to stay on the lead lap in case of a caution. You know, even though he's not racing for position anymore, he wants to both hold Michael up for his teammate if he knows he's back there, that being Max Preston, but also wants to stay on the lead lap. We head around here. He's going to head to the inside. He's going to be a sportsman-like driver and let all the drivers head to the inside of him. And now Max Preston is going to take that, Logan Paxa is going to take the advantage there. Uses his opportunity perfectly, heads by Krobach on the outside. Nice pass. So Logan Paxa, once again, your race leader. Back in the field, I think Logan Ferguson has had another incident, but with his damage at this point, there's not much I can really do to help him out there. But onto the backstretch we go. Michael Krobach in the slipstream once again, trying to get that pass back on Logan Paxa into that long right-hand sweeper there, known as the, I believe this is the loop technically, is what they call it. But well, Michael checks up a little bit to allow Logan to get ahead, but now Max is catching up to Michael himself as well. our top three, all three different teams, actually three very different teams, and then an individual driver behind Evandro Bedrosian. So, well, this is going to be a very competitive end to our race here. I'm looking forward to this final 10-lap stint. Actually, yeah, it'll be 12 laps when we come across the line this time. Further back in the field, Marshall Crocker appears to have come into the pits for some reason, as well as Manuel Guerra. Not quite sure what the reasoning behind that was. I guess maybe they just needed tires and fuel. Some drivers, I think, were overestimating how soon our next caution would be, which I don't really blame them because we've had a quite chaotic race overall for sure. But, well, Logan Paxa with Michael Krobach trying to chase him down and get that position back. But you got to imagine with just how quick Logan was in qualifying and how his tires are newer than anybody else running around him. We'd by no means be surprised if Logan were able to start pulling away and just chugging off towards the sunset. So somebody on the inside there, that's Logan Ferguson, still with huge damage, but trying to drive it out. Hopefully doesn't get in the way of drivers around him, but Logan Pax is still trying to break away. His first time really back in the lead under green for the first time in a while. So, well, he's got both Michael and Andrew chasing him down. But Max Preston has come into the pits. I did mention before he hadn't previously, so eventually he would need to. So maybe he's thinking that Logan and Michael will need to pit before the end of this race, and this is a smart move, but honestly a little surprised he did choose to come in this lap and not earlier on the caution. But again, he was going to need to for fuel anyway, so he'll take the exit here. Let's see if he's able to hold his position from Josh Gallagher when he returns to the track. He needs to get up to speed quick if he's going to be able to defend it, but for the time being, we'll see down the backstretch if he's able to on cold tires. He'll have a little bit different of an entry. He needs to take on those colder tires back into the long sweeping turn at the end of the straightaway. So let's see what his strategy is. Josh going for a pass for wrong driver. Yeah, Josh going for a pass there for fourth position if he were able to make it happen. Isn't quite there into the sweeper, so he will maintain the spot, will Max Preston. But further up in the field, Logan Pax is still trying to defend from Michael Krobach, who, it's important to mention, I mean, for half a second in qualifying, that's quite the gap there, but props to Michael Krobach. In that very first stint of the race, and I think we went about 8 laps under green, he was not backing down from Logan Paxa. I think he stayed within 8 or 9 tenths the entire time, and now he's within 8 tenths of a second of him once again now. So we head on for the beginning of lap 39, does Logan Paxa. Now we have 11 laps to go left in the race, but Michael Krobach is still holding in there in that exact same time area that he has for the rest of the race so far. So our top three separated by 2 seconds, and then way back we hit about 30 seconds all the way to Max Preston. Still trying to defend from Josh Gallagher, but I think he's starting to break away. After that, John Guerra and Marshall Crocker are just about a minute apiece away from your leader, Logan Paxa. Michael cut up quite heavily there on that straightaway thanks to the draft. So got to see if he's able to have a very good boot section. He may be able to get a pass going on the front stretch or somewhere in that specific area of the track. Michael Krobach not backing down, only 4 tenths back. The top 2 drivers last season. The only 2 drivers this season to register poles thus far. Michael in the very first race and Logan in this one. So kind of the, I would say the top 2 drivers. If I were to recommend any 2 drivers to anybody to recruit for their series, it might be these 2 gentlemen because, well, they each have their own specific format of race they're really good at. That being, of course, road courses for Logan Paxa, such as this one, and ovals for Michael Krobach in his own time. But Michael, I mean, when he needs to fight on the road courses, he puts in the time, he puts in the practice, and he does his very, very best to make up the time he needs to. We're actually going to go on board quickly with Michael Krobach as I talk about these 2 drivers. But yeah, I mean, oh, sorry. Well, we can try that view, actually. No, not that one. There we go. So, yeah, looking ahead from Michael Krobach, that's, once again, Logan Paxa, your leader in the background. But, I mean, really, the 2 gentlemen, they have their own specific niches I think they fall into well that they succeed at particularly. But well, when they're asked to, when they're tasked to go to the other discipline, they normally don't run in their free time, that being ovals for Logan and road courses for Michael. Well, they thrive, they do their best, and they always seem to do pretty well, even if they may not register a ton of wins there. Of course, Logan still remains, I believe, winless on ovals in our series all time, and Michael, of course, has yet to win a road course. So eventually, one of these days, I think one of those facts is going to become untrue because, well, whether it be Michael trying to make the pass on Logan tonight if he's able to win this race, or Logan, I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised at all if he were able to come away with a oval win this year, especially maybe one of our IndyCar ones, whether we go to Indy for our All-Star race or next week at Charlotte. So I got to say, these guys may have their specific skills that they inhabit, but you know, by no means would I be surprised if they were able to do something at the other disciplines. So 10 laps to go when we cross the line here. Michael still isn't backing down from Logan as we exit out of the boot here. A few lap traffic cars there up ahead. trying to tell who those are. One of them being Rich Foligno, I think, in the background, teammate of Michael Krobach. And then the one that they're going under as we speak is Manuel Guerra there in the Diabolique Motorsports yellow and silver car. Michael's going to head into the pits this time, so interesting strategy move there, meaning I think I'm almost positive that Logan will also have to pit, so I guess the undercut trying to be executed here from Michael Krobach, but that will mean that Andrew Bedrosian will move up to second position. Important to note that this may even give the position to Max Preston for third position, and well, Max Preston does legitimately have enough fuel to make it to the end, so if Max is able to push hard and run a really good lap here, there's a chance he'll start to catch up to Michael. You see there on the track map, Michael still remains in the pits, so actually we'll go and check on Michael in the pits there. You see he's still sitting there. I think in the background you'll see Max Preston coming down the straightaway. There he is. He crosses the line right now, so he'll need to push through this corner here. Let's check on Mr. Max Preston. In the background, so he's coming into corner one. You see Michael up the road a little ways there, but Michael will be on cold tires, so if Mr. Preston is able to make the best use of those older tires that are a little bit more worn in, somebody just went around there once again. That's Logan Ferguson still on track. Logan is having significant issues, and in a bit I may need to mention that to him or send him a message, because he has been out there a long time with a very busted up car, and even if he wants to run some additional laps, which I don't blame him trying to gain positions, he has been out there a long time and has significant damage. Rich Foligno is staring at a wall. Is he able to continue, or is he's off the track, but significant damage on his part, so he'll head off the track as well, won't wait for a caution, and just this late in the race with individual drivers having incidents, I don't think I'll call him, but Andrew Bedrosian now heads into the pits this time, so Michael Krobach will take over second place once again. Max Preston, important to note that while he came close, he wasn't quite able to catch up to him, so Max will legitimately need to run some quicker laps than Michael if he'll want to catch up to him, but with Bedrosian heading in that lap, it makes me almost certain that Logan will need one more pit stop in order to finish off this race, and the last thing I want to see is for him to go for the entire race win without needing to pit one more time, which I think he has a pit stop to spare. He's a quick guy, and if he comes out even on cold tires with the two guys chasing him, I'm confident that he'd be able to hold his own in a battle, but doesn't quite get it to work here this time, so at least not unless he does come into the pits in the next few laps, because you'd think you'd want to cut your tire stint in half if you were indeed planning on pitting again. So I remember back to Okayama last year where he had that situation where he tried to last to the end of the race on fuel, and Renee Hart, who ended up winning that race, who hasn't been with us in a few races, but he did manage to get the fuel mileage to work and ended that race off as the race winner. So there's a precedent for it, but if Logan thinks he can get to the end on fuel and his logistics are telling him he can, well, I mean, I'm not going to question his judgment there. He was our champion last year for a reason, and now it is his responsibility to try to win this thing. So further back in the field again, Max Preston starting to drop back a little bit from Krobach, but not too significantly much. Andrew Bedrosian, actually, he came out of the pits there a moment ago. I know he was on cold tires, but actually started to break away from the field a little bit. Now Logan will come into the pits this time by. Kind of predicted it a little bit there, but again, like based on the length of the stint, if you were going to come in at any point in this stint, I mean, why wait much longer than you need to? Just come in now, have your tires be fresher for longer, rather than coming in at the very end of a very old set of tires, replacing them with new ones, but they're cold the entire time anyway, so you never get a chance to make up for them. He'll pull into his box here, but let's just keep the track map in mind there. Andrew Bedrosian's coming around quick down through the final straightaway, so yeah, he's just going to pass straight by Logan Paxel. Logan's starting to re-enter the track, but we'll head in behind Andrew Bedrosian just to see where Logan comes out on track. So Logan still has yet to exit the pits. Andrew will become the race leader. Michael actually makes the pass as well. Where is Logan on track? No, never mind. He hadn't quite yet, but now he will. Bedrosian makes the pass up through the S's, but we're going to go to our chopper camera to see if he's able to hold that position. So Andrew Bedrosian now becomes your race leader, and he's good on pit stops. So now it becomes a case of driving. We don't have to worry about strategy anymore there, Mr. Bedrosian. It is just time to go to work and try to win this thing. So Andrew running his third race of our series overall, his first time at a road course. He ran the last race of last season when we went to Michigan for our season ender. But now he's going to head in onto the inside here. He's just going to let Logan straight around. Didn't really seem to put up a fight there at all. But I mean, if you're confident that Logan's too much faster than you, and you know you're in a tricky part of the track as they are, I mean, fair move to just say, you know what, maybe I'll let him by, see if he'll make a mistake that I can capitalize on. But for now, he's just going to recollect his thoughts and see if he can come up with a better game plan. So, I mean, with it'll be 7 laps to go next time they go by the line. everybody's now on an even playing field. So these top three, it just becomes a case of driving and just putting your pedal to the metal, focusing and saying, okay, well, all I got to do is 7 more laps. Really, if you figure out the time, it's, you know, just about 10 minutes left in my race. So kind of make these the 10 best minutes of my last 2 hours, or really of my week and my time practicing. And if you can, you might be able to come away with the win here. Again, Logan Pax is the guy to beat at the moment, but I mean, Michael's been quick all day. He was starting to catch him a little bit earlier, and Michael's a guy that I know in my personal experience racing against him. If he puts the focus to something, he is deadly quick on his own. So well, we'll see if Logan is able to pull away from the field and make this a pretty easy run to the finish for himself. But Andrew appears to be on the push to pass there in the background. Next time we go by, I saw somebody in the chat. Yeah, I saw David Paxer requesting that we do a push to pass on board for one of our times through the backstretch, and I'd be more than happy to oblige for that. Maybe next time we get a good pass going. I'd imagine if there was going to be a pass on track right now, it might be Michael Krobach and Andrew Bedrosian, because he is catching him up lap by lap, corner by corner. A little bit further back, Max Preston has dropped about 5 seconds back, and he's had a very impressive race, but not quite running quick enough to make a push up towards the front for these, to factor into the battle these guys are having right now. So once again, Michael is a little bit later on the brakes. Actually, Andrew got a way better run into that corner, but well, we hit up back onto the front stretch, and actually we'll go on board with Michael for this section of the track, because if he is able to get a push to pass, and he has one left to spare, which, I mean, he hasn't really actually had too many passing instances today, so I would be surprised if he didn't have a few more saved up. Heads back all the way down into second gear in that corner, which means he'll get a great run there. So we'll see if he's on the push to pass this time. He doesn't appear to need to use it, so maybe he thinks he can make it under. He's able to. Yes, indeed he is. Heads to the inside again. Not really too much opposition there from Andrew Bedrosian, but further back in the field, Josh Gallagher appears to have crashed. Does he have significant damage? No, he's sitting on the inside there. Huge damage to the nose cone. Quite a bit there. Appears to be back up to speed. It was a solo incident, so again, he may need to come into the pits to fix damage, but not quite one that you can throw a caution on if he's by himself. So that's the only advantage right now to everybody being so spread out on track, is little individual incidents like that we've had quite a few of. That's Logan Ferguson, one of the Logan Motorsports cars you see there heading into the pits. But once everybody spreads out like this at a very difficult track like Watkins Glen, even if you make little individual incidents, well, you know, they may not always collect other drivers. So Michael Grobach will make the move on Andrew Bedrosian in, as we saw in corner 1 last time by. So now he's got a 2.7 second gap to make up. Now 2.8 to Logan Paxa ahead of him. You see there in the gray car, the gray and red entry heading up the hill. So, well, he'll have 5 whole laps to do it. So, Michael, if you can average about 6/10 better per lap. Actually, we'll throw up the lap times this time by, but well, if he's able to average a faster lap time by 6/10 than Michael than Logan these last few laps, well, he may be able to win this thing. But last time by, you see Paxa by runs the fastest lap of the race does Logan on that lap. 1:27.2. Yeah, Michael, I know he was in a battle that entire time, but I think, yeah, running almost 7/10 off the pace. So, well, if Logan keeps running laps like that, this thing may be all but over. But further back in the field, again, I would by no means count out Andrew Bedrosian. But a little bit too far back as we speak, I think, to make a move for the time being. Who is that in the background? Bedrosian's passing. What are the 2 Diabolique Motorsports cars? I think that's John Guerra of the 2. Manuel Guerra, his brother, also in the top 10. The 2 Guerras having a pretty successful race tonight. Good luck, or good work to them, I should say. But yeah, so the lap times will bring down. But yeah, it's easy to see. It's the same thing that happens to Logan at all these road courses. He just gets by himself. He gets his head focused, and he's just able to pull away when maybe other guys are too busy with battles to be able to. So props to Mr. Logan. He has had an incredible race this year, or this, wow, I'm just kind of losing it, but he's had an incredible race today, and I mean, he's put in the practice, he's put in the effort. I think he only made it up to our first practice race, but that appears to be all he needs. The 2 Logan Motorsports guys, I mean, Logan just kind of had unfortunate luck with incidents earlier in the race, meaning that he is all but out of contention for a position any better than currently 11th. So in terms of the team championship, Logan is trying to do the heavy lifting there, but with the kind of race he's putting together, now running the fastest lap, leading a lap, I think he's going to lead the most laps as well. So he's going to roll in the bonus points. Should be a total of 35 or 36 points he'll accrue tonight. So almost, I think he might hit the maximum you can get in bonuses in one race. So well, in the championship standings, going almost 300 kilometers an hour. It feels like he has been the entire race when he's gotten the chance. He was making nice moves earlier, and now with only 5 laps to go, let's see if he can close it out and get his, I think that'd be his 7th win overall in our series, but the first of the season for Mr. Logan Paxa. Again, important to mention a little bit further back in the field, Max Preston has dropped off pretty significantly to the drivers in front of him, but again, I want to give total credit to Max Preston tonight. He had a pretty great race with really everybody he was running around. He didn't seem to make any crazy moves. He made a beautiful block there on Michael Grobach. It was one of those ones where it was just close enough that they didn't make contact, but he made it work, and it was impressive. So he's had a great second race of the season. I was curious to see when we came to a road course just how well he would do in a real race setting. And then we did our practice race the other night. Again, like I said, finished second, less than a second behind Logan Paxa. So there's definitely precedent that he'd do well tonight. And I think Andrew Bedrosian did a lot better than I thought he might based on practice. So put in the practice laps did Andrew Bedrosian, and it appeared to have paid off for him. So again, good work to the only American in our series, actually. Important to mention as well. So despite the U.S. Air Force entry that both the Logan Motorsports cars are running, I assure you they both are Canadian at heart. So, well, and in reality. But Andrew Bedrosian, yeah, your only American driver here tonight. And I know I think he runs quarter midgets in the States. So he does a slightly different kind of racing than the rest of the field. Hence why he would be one of those guys that definitely has more oval experience than anybody else. But whether it be karts or quarter midgets, he had the exact same situation as the rest of our field. Just came from a form of racing that he could no longer do, and figured he'd come to our series to try to get that same racing itch and that competitive itch scratched in our series. So again, it's important to mention a lot of guys are starting to head back out to the track in real life lately, and about 2 laps to go, and Logan Paxa heads by the line this time. But yeah, it's exciting to see all the guys heading back out on the track, and I'm not quite sure in his personal life what Andrew was doing lately in terms of racing. Hopefully he's able to get back out on the track soon, but I know quite a few drivers. Somebody in the background, I think that's Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, somewhere else on the track, goes around with an incident. Let's try to find him on track. Oh, he's back up to speed, so no significant damage, but that allows Justin Loic to get by him. One of the MJ Motorsports drivers actually will only finish 1 position behind Preston, despite I think a little bit of chaos earlier in the race. We see on board with Logan Paxa here, coming out of the final corner for the 3rd to last time. See there, Mr. Flagman, as he watches Logan Paxa come under him for the 2nd lap. Whoa, okay. Whew, I need to reset here. 2nd to last lap of the race, I should say. So 2 to go here, lap 49 for Logan. Further back again, starting to break up the top 4. Michael now 6 seconds behind. Bedrosian about 2.5 seconds behind him. Max Preston about 7 seconds behind Bedrosian. So the top 4 all but decided. Marshall Crocker, my father, came into the pits that last time by. So, well, it appears he will maintain his position, but he's not going to try to make a push up towards Justin Loic for the 5th position he had earlier. Not sure if he'll move back any more positions. Nope. Marshall Crocker Sr. will come out a little ways ahead of John Guerra, so should come home with a 6th position, which is not bad at all, especially for a 14-driver field. So, well, again, I know that my father hasn't said whether or not he's committing to anywhere near a full season yet, but that 24 Tim Hortons car for the last 2 races has been doing good work, and he should come out of this, I think, actually 6th or 7th in the points. So, good work to my dad. Again, I really wish I could be out here racing against him, but it's good to see he's finding success here, and hopefully that'll inspire him to stay out for a few more races this year. I know he certainly liked to, or certainly seemed to enjoy the schedule that we had later in the season planned. So we'll head back up to Logan Paxa as he gets ready to head on to the final lap of the race. Going to take the white flag here next time through the right-hander onto the front stretch. Here we go. Logan Paxa going to take the white flag this time by. We'll watch the flag man change his flag to white. Never mind. They apparently don't have a animation for that, but again, we'll follow along with Logan Paxa for his final time through the Classic Boot Circuit at Watkins Glen International. Rich Foligno went around that time. Not sure where he is on track, but appears to be back up to speed here. Michael Krobach, actually, I think he lost a little bit of time there to Andrew Bedrosian behind for a moment, but appears to have got that sorted out. Actually, Michael had a pretty tough pass to make on his teammate Rich Foligno there, but he manages to make it work. Marshall Crocker Sr. goes into the pits again. Not sure what the incident that inspired that was this time. Let's see if he has damage. No, it doesn't appear to, so I'm not sure what's happening there, but Logan will enter into the boot for the final time. Going to head up the hill. This tricky right-hander that had quite a few incidents result from it today. But man, I mean, Logan, he came here, finished or qualified on pole by a pretty sizable amount. Feels like when it rains, it pours with Logan's qualifying times. If he qualifies in pole, it's with a time that I couldn't imagine running myself. So well, he put in the practice effort. He came to a road course, his second ever road course IndyCar race. The other one, of course, at Daytona Road Course last year, he did win as well. So did everything he needed to do. Came out with a great qualifying time. There was some cautions that forced him to sit in the midfield, make some passes that he needed to make. But he'll take the final right-hander around the final corner of our track one more time onto the front stretch. Second race of the year, 7th win of the series for Logan Paxa. He is your winner at Watkins Glen International for round 2 of the Karts to Computers Racing Series. And he'll head off to do his victory donuts. But for the time being, Michael Krobach, your race winner in round 1, will come across the finish line. Andrew Bedrosian will take home his 2nd podium of the season. Max Preston will come away with a 4th. The final driver in the, final driver in the lead lap? No, Max Preston's teammate, Justin Loic, also manages to finish in that first lap of the race. But Logan Paxi does his traditional donuts there. He's always been our kind of celebration guy for really the entire series, whether it be some fun dirt track wall riding last season at Lanier, or, well, he's had no shortage. Oh, and he's going to head off through the service exit there where they keep all the emergency vehicles. So always something a little different with Logan when he wins the races. And, well, when he wins 7 of them, of course, there's going to be variety in how he does so. So it appears no drivers left on the track here to talk about. So quickly, we will put up your final race results. So let me just pull down all your graphics here. I'm going to take a quick drink because I didn't get a break there in the last little bit of the race. Hence, I think why my speech turned into that of somebody who couldn't speak English. There we go. So hopefully we're all set and ready to go for your post-race show. Again, I'm happier that this race didn't go anywhere near as long as that last broadcast, which was, again, apologies for that Talladega broadcast going as long as it did. But, well, there they are, your final results for tonight's second round at Watkins Glen International. Your race winner for the 7th time in the series overall, and your first time winning it this season. Logan Pax actually didn't get a top 5 last race for the first time ever in our series, so, well, he rebounded from that quite well. Came to a road course, the place where he thrives, and I'm not sure what his experience with at Watkins Glen is, but I'll have to ask him after the race. But wow, just what a race from him tonight. Again, as I talked about there briefly in that last lap, he had some situations where, because of pit strategy, he found himself middle of the field and still managed to survive and get around the incidents he needed to. And really, it's a war of attrition. I don't think he used a single quick repair. So, well, Captain Consistency may be a title that switches over to Logan Pax, because what a consistent race he had tonight. After that, Michael Krobach, previously your only race winner of the season thus far, won at round 1 at Talladega, but came to a road course, put in the practice effort this week, put in all the time that he needed to get the track down, and will get the track down he certainly appeared to. He started 2nd, finishes 2nd, and again, he may have dropped back quite a while from Logan Paxa, but Logan on new tires just seemed to have the speed that nobody could replicate, so almost can't blame him for that. But Michael will come across 2nd for his 2nd top 3 of the season. I think it's might be his 10th overall. I can't quite confirm that yet, but overall, some pretty successful drivers in our top 2 in the series as a whole, I'd say. But coming in 3rd, his 3rd his 3rd podium position, I should say, in 3 races that he's ever run with us. Of course, running the final race last year, and ran both the 1st and 2nd race of our season. Andrew Bedrosian gets a 2nd podium of the year, his 2nd, 3rd place of the season, actually. So I would expect that he would actually be in 2nd in the championship, above even Logan Paxa, now a race winner himself. But rounding out the top 5, Max Preston making the 2nd ever start in the series. Again, very successful race today. His teammate at MJ Motorsports, Justin Loic, finishing on the lead lap as well in 5th position. Very good performance for that team. I think they are the highest scoring team of anybody out here, because the top 3's teammates, well, Andrew, of course, doesn't have one, but Logan's teammate, Logan Ferguson, finishing in 11th, and Michael Krobach's teammate, Rich Felino, finishing in 8th. So the MJ Motorsports guys, the name will, of course, remain that way because Max did win the race, meaning that he will maintain the first initial in the team name going forward, at least for the next race. But yeah, rounding out the top 10, Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, a very good race for him as well. Ties, I believe, his best ever finish in our series overall. So 6th position for him, not bad at all. John Guerra, the other driver, only a lap down in the 7th position, the first of the 2 Diab League Motorsports cars. Then it's the LPM Blue teammate, the championship leaders, I think, in points for the team standings, and I believe still the case after this race. Rich Felino, a teammate of Michael Krobach, finished 2nd. Manuel Guerra, the other Diab League Motorsports driver, in 9th. Josh Gallagher in 10th, rounding out your top 10. Logan Ferguson, Jordan West, Devin Crosby, and Marco Fleece, all over the course of the race, having difficulties that I think required them to drop out of the race at some point. I think Logan did manage to finish it, but it was with significant damage, I might add. So Devin and Marco both had very successful stints throughout the race. Marco even leading some laps, which means he will get bonus points, but Unfortunately, 14th position is all that he could do in terms of points. Well, it was a great race overall. I think it was good to see some drivers back. Pretty good turnout overall. I think it's the most guys we've had at one of these races in quite a long time. So it was a nice race. It was really good to see everybody out having a good time again. Hopefully, it was a good broadcast for all you guys. And well, now we will get to the interview segment of our race. Let's get to your third place driver first. Just got to throw up the traditional graphics and we'll pull him into the booth momentarily. Andrew Bedrosian for the second time this season. Let's get him in the booth. Hey, Andrew, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to give you a quick congratulations again. Your second podium of the season, your second time finishing in the third position. And I mean, you did it last week at an oval at Talladega to start. Well, I guess last week is relative. On Friday, you did it at Talladega to start the season. We headed to Watkins, Glen at a road course. I was curious to see how you do in your third race overall in the series. And I'd say you knocked it out of the park. The top two of Michael and Logan were so quick the entire race. But I mean, I just want to ask you about your experience and your background. Would you say you're more of an oval guy or a road course guy in your own time? And just how well did you feel prepared coming into Watkins Glen tonight?
So, I mean, I race Watkins Glen with the Cup cars a lot, so I mean, it's a familiar track. But with Michael and the LPM team just helping me out with some of the road courses I have trouble on, it really helps a lot.
Well, that's good to hear, and it would definitely make
Yeah.
sense because I mean, once again, you came out here and you had a great race overall. I know there was a lot of chaos there at the beginning, quite a few cautions to start off our race, and once we kind of got through that and got to the green flag stints, I mean, how did the track feel out there? Do you just want to walk us through maybe some difficulties of the track, some sections you find difficult, or just how did this compare to your first two races in the series?
So around the bootleg was probably the like hardest part of the track. A lot of spins, a lot of accident avoidance. I was in a couple. I spun myself. Uh, so but yeah, like a lot of accident avoidance. That was probably the hardest part of the track.
Yeah, right. And you talked about your incident there. You recovered from it quite well. I believe if it's the one I remember, you managed to keep it off the wall well. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it really just became a battle for everybody to try to stay out there. And again, like you said, just avoid all the incidents they possibly could. But yeah, you come away with a third position here. By the end, there was some good battling there with you and Michael and Logan. But
Oh yeah.
at the end of the day, yeah, you came away with a third position. Props to you. I mean, three races in the series. I think you finished fourth in your first one and third in your previous or in your final two. So,
Yeah.
wow, you've had a great start to our to our series overall. Great work so far, man. And as we head into round three at Charlotte next week on Friday, Charlotte and the IndyCar once again at an oval. What's your experience with IndyCar at ovals like, and what are you anticipating for that race?
So I mean, the hardest part about that's probably just going to be the dirty air, just trying to keep the car off the wall. Um, Besides that, it's pretty much just going to be like a home field advantage for me because it's in the United States oval, so pretty much everything's on my side with that race.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear it. You're probably going to come out of this race actually second in the championship. So, well, you now got a big points gap to try to keep up, and maybe you can even catch up to Michael, who I believe will have a pretty good lead in the championship coming out of race two. But overall, is there anybody you want to give a quick thank you to or anything of that like that before we head off to your next
Um,
interview?
yeah, like I just want to thank the LPM team for helping me out with everything. And just want to thank JP West Photo for sponsoring me, and want to thank my family for watching.
Awesome. Well, thank you to them as well. Thanks for everybody out there that's watching a race tonight. And I mean, again, I can see why you're sponsored on iRacing because impressive performance from you. You seem like a very quick driver anytime I've ever seen you. So, looking forward to seeing what you do the rest of the year. Have a good next race on Friday at Charlotte, and have a good rest of your night.
All right, thank you.
And that brings us to the end of our first interview with Andrew Bedrosian. Again, as I mentioned, his third ever race in the series, and he's already got 2 podiums to his name. So that's some impressive consistency, the likes of which we don't really see too often in our series. Because man, it's tough with all the variety of tracks we had to be as consistent as he's been. But well, absolute props to him. But speaking of consistency, we head now on to your second interview with second place driver and championship leader currently after this race, Michael Krobach. Hey, Michael, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
Hey Marshall, how's it going?
It is not going too bad at all. How about yourself?
I'm a little bit mad at our pit crew tonight.
Oh, why is that?
So I had no idea that we had 5 seconds of required repairs on that last green flag pit stop, and if I knew that, I would have taken a fast repair because we came out only 2.2 seconds behind.
Oh man, I see. I was wondering because you came into the pits and I thought that your gap extended or something. I was thinking that maybe you just locked it up coming into the pits or something like that. But well, yeah, it was tough in terms of strategy there. I think most of the race. You talk about the beginning where it just felt like caution after caution after caution with quite a few incidents, guys trying to get used to the track. But I mean, late in the race, yeah, it came down to little things like that. I know a few guys had trouble on their out laps trying to get the tires up to speed, but I mean, you talk about having a little bit of repairs left over. It was a war of attrition for sure. You just want to walk us through like what was the strategy over the course of the race, and when we came out of that final, I think it was our final caution of the day. Like, what was your strategy looking to the end of the race?
Yeah, so this is the first season I think on iRacing where they let you make in-race adjustments to the car on the Indycar, so you can change ARB on the front and rear, the roll bar, and you can change fuel map. So we were playing with the fuel map settings a bit there to save a bit of fuel under caution to kind of extend the fuel runs. And we definitely changed the ARB settings around to make the car handle better. I found that that really helped on the low speed corners when we were in first gear because in practice before it would kind of the back end would kick around. So we messed with that as a team, Rich and I and Josh and Devin, and we found something that we liked. And so that was our play going in. Just keeping an eye on the fuel number. Figured about 14 to 15 laps a stint, and kind of worked backwards there. Always wanting to be the first car on pit road. And that worked out for the most part. I think there was a couple times when we lost track position and it was a little hairy being in traffic. But it was some good racing coming back through the field. I really wish that iRacing would tell you if you have damage or not, so you can use that fast repair when you need it, because that killed 5 seconds there. We were behind Logan. I thought we could catch him, and then I kind of just wanted to back off a little bit and save the push to pass in case we got a green and white checker. That was my only play there once he started to gap us again. So overall, it was a clean race. I don't think I had speed for Logan, but I think maybe if I had track position, I could have held him up a little bit. But all in all, happy to finish second on a road course.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I talked about it all broadcast whenever I was talking about you, about how you're kind of our oval expertise guy when it comes to success in our series. I mean, you're 4 for 4 all time in our series on the ovals. But we come to the road courses, and is there any particular road courses like either that you will run this season or even any IndyCar ovals that you're feeling particularly well off at, like you would be for a NASCAR track?
I mean, I do like Mid Ohio. We've had success there in the NASCAR Xfinity car. I've never really driven it in the IndyCar before, so that'll be interesting. I do like the track though. I like the rhythm of it. Looking forward to Mosport. That should be fun too. But yeah, the ovals are my wheelhouse. Coming out for the road courses, I love it. It's a lot of fun. I actually enjoy it just from a pure racing fun standpoint, a bit more than ovals because it's really challenging. And always pushing myself to catch Logan and be within a couple tenths of packs of there, I think really fuels me to just make myself better as a better driver. I think he definitely has the edge, and I love trying to push myself to catch up to his pace and see what happens. We had some good battles there today. We had some good battles with Max Preston and Justin Loic there when they were up front. So I really enjoy this type of racing, and I really enjoy finding more speed and just the pure challenge of road racing.
Well, I mean, you talk about how you try to follow in behind Logan Pax's lead there because he just seems to be our road course guy the same way you are with ovals. But every race are getting closer and closer. So I'd imagine as we head over to, as you mentioned, Mosport in a few weeks, and then after that we head to Nürburgring, which should be a oh man, that'll be a tough race for everybody. But overall, referring just specifically to next Friday when we head to Charlotte in the IndyCar as well. Again, it is an oval, but it's an IndyCar oval, and I think it's only our second we've ever run. Oh, sorry, our third besides Phoenix. So, how are you feeling for that? What's your experience at Charlotte in the IndyCar?
Yeah, I've run a few races there over the years. It'll be a whole different dynamic now having the in-car adjustments, and we can actually play with a weight jacker too on the ovals. Those are that's not up for fiddling around with on the road courses. So having the weight jacker option, having the ARBs to play with, and the fuel map, it'll make for a lot more interesting strategy and interesting controls behind the wheel because you can actually tune the fixed setup a little bit more to tweak it to your liking. It's not going to be a dramatic change, but as the fuel burns off and the car's handling changes with the tire wears, you got to keep up on the adjustments. So I think that'll be fun. It's a huge unknown for everybody because that's just brand new to iRacing. But I do like Charlotte. I've run there a lot. A little bit in the IndyCar. We've run a few races there. I think you'll see a lot of 2 and 3 wide action even in the IndyCar at that track. It's a wild ride, so it should make for a good broadcast.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I feel like no better way to follow up an overall pretty exciting broadcast like this one with one that's maybe even better at an oval in the IndyCar for the first time in a while. So, well, now I'll throw it to you. This is the part where you do some sponsors, give some shout outs, and yeah, I'll just throw the floor to you.
Yeah, I got to thank Andy. He's come on board, kind of quasi LPM alliance. We're like Penske over here. We're just taking over the series in terms of drivers and stuff. But Andy was over here helping us all race, and we were helping him, and he came home with the podium. So super happy to have him around and talk on the chat and everything like that. He's a good guy. Shout out to Rich for figuring out some of the fuel mapping and ARB stuff. Devin and Josh. Devin called pit strategy again tonight. He called it perfect like he always does. So really happy to have these guys on the team. This would not be the same without having them on board LPM. Of course, got to thank all our sponsors: HPP Simulation, Clip on that Apex, Thumbs Up, Cancer Down, Fleximation Systems, Host Venom, Ready to Frag, Sim Racing Apps, CJ Automotive, Amso by Adam Blattle, Spotlights, Visual Spotter System, and I think that's it. Splash and Go Graphics for painting all our cars. And tonight's our IndyCar was by Tyler Graff of Graphics, so shout out to him too.
And what a delivery it was. One of our best paint schemes I think I've seen in IndyCar and all of iRacing. So they're doing good work there. And car looked well. It went quick tonight, and he came away with the second place position. So again, props to you, Michael. You're still our championship leader as far as I know. And well, I'm looking forward to see what you do next Friday at Charlotte. And have a good rest of your season. Have a good rest of your night.
Thanks, Marshall. Thanks for putting this on and for being in race control tonight. That really helped with the cautions and stuff.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Well, yeah, again, hopefully it works even better on our next road course. But yeah, have a good rest of your night. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, Marshall. Take it easy.
And with that, again, apologies, ladies and gentlemen. My voice is kind of starting to fade here a little bit. It's a long race, and clearly I didn't keep enough water on me to the side. But well, we head into our final interview with your race winner. I have interviewed this guy. I think, oh wow, we've had 12 overall races, and he's only not finished on the podium once. So, well, this is the 11th time I've ever interviewed him, and every time he seems like a very well-spoken guy. So, looking forward to talking to him and seeing how he did tonight in his performance. I mean, it was pretty much non-explanatory, or what word am I looking for? Non-explanatory. It's pretty much self-explanatory, I should say. How well he did tonight. Came away with the win. It felt like every time he got to the front of the field, he started to break away more and more. But your race winner, Logan Paxick, you got me in the booth, Logan?
I do.
Well, first of all, first time I'm interviewing you this year. Congratulations, getting I think it's your seventh or eighth win overall in our series all time. You've just, when it comes to the road course, again, you seem to have the speed nobody can replicate. But tonight they didn't make it easy on you. We had quite a few incidents early in the race. I mean, everybody's strategy was kind of thrown off, and overall, those cautions being thrown at the beginning, the first time we've tried to do official cautions at a road course. Do you just kind of want to walk us through the beginning of the race there, and what was going through your mind with that many cautions messing up the strategy?
Yeah, the cautions definitely threw off what we had planned for the race. So it really just came to eyeballing it, kind of thinking about when was the best time to pit when those cautions came out, because obviously, pitting under caution is a lot faster and loses you a lot less time than pitting under green. So we really tried to cross our fingers and hope for the cautions when we needed them. And I think most of them came out in good times for us. So pit strategy we weren't like way up on someone, as in, we had to do one less stop to them because we pitted at some time before them. It was mainly just we were equal with the top three in pit strategy, so it really just came down to who could set down the best pace.
Right, and at the end of the race, you did just that. You pulled away once the pit cycles all worked out. I think you won by just under 10 seconds there. So, oh yeah, had that speed at the end that seemed to work for you. And just kind of walk us through Watkins Glen. Our first time coming here in the series overall. How much experience do you have with the track itself or this specific configuration overall? And what do you think are the challenges about running here at Watkins Glen International?
I think that part of the challenge of Watkins Glen is the curbs. So they're very thin profile and they're very high. So when you hit them, they'll either rotate your car a lot or you'll just get bounced off if you hit it at a weird angle. So if, say, there's a specific curb that you use to be bounced off of to give yourself an advantage, if you hit it in a slightly different way, it could very possibly rotate you to the point where you spin.
Right, and we saw that quite a few times with some of our incidents. I think a lot of our more solo car incidents were because guys were either clipping the grass a little bit on entry, or just like you said, they would just take a slightly different entry onto the curb as they would a different lap, and it would just kind of get their front end around, and they'd lose it into a wall. And we saw that kind of being the reason for a lot of our cautions early in the race. But well, referring to next week, you come away with yet another road course win, and we won't be back at a road course until I think a week from today when we go to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, a track that I'm sure both you and all the Prime guys are really excited about. But referring to Friday, our next race for round 3 of the season, we go to Charlotte in the IndyCar. It's our first IndyCar road course, or sorry, our first IndyCar oval with the actual current IndyCar since our first race of the series overall at the beginning of last year at Indy. So you did well at that race. And how are you feeling for Charlotte in the IndyCar for next week?
I'm excited for Charlotte. I'm also interested at how IndyCars at a shorter oval is going to play out. I think that the racing is going to be quite close because, as far as I can tell, it is flat out. Because usually, when you have um, ovals where you have to try different things, like you have to use the brakes, you have to lift, it seems like the gaps are always bigger because some people don't exactly have their points for braking and lifting like maybe as competitive as other people. So if it's a flat track, which I'm fairly sure it is, I haven't run on it yet, that it'll keep the racing a lot closer. And obviously, I love pretty much any IndyCar race. Indianapolis last season was a blast, and I'm sure this will be too.
Absolutely, yeah, you broke it down perfectly. I think there's a lot more minimal braking required than you would in a normal NASCAR at a oval as small as Charlotte compared to the ones we've done this series. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a close race, just because, as you said, the ceiling and the floor for just how well you can run there at Charlotte are a little closer than most other ovals. So I think it should be a very competitive race, and I think with your ability to drive in packs as we've seen all season, and really just your consistency at any track we seem to go to whatsoever, especially in the IndyCar. I feel like you'll do well, and I would by no means be surprised if I was with you for, I think, what would be our 10th or 11th interview that we've ever done. So you seem to have a pace in this championship that nobody else can really replicate. But because of that, you want to give any shout outs to anybody or give a thank you to anybody watching at home?
I would like to thank all my family that watched this. I would also like to thank Canadian Mini Indy and Trevor Wickens for allowing us to kart this weekend. I would like to thank all the drivers that came out here that make this so competitive and fun and being able to push yourself to become a better driver. And I would like to thank you, Marshall, for allowing all these drivers to come together and make something that's really, really fun to do.
Well, thanks, Logan. I mean, it's been a pleasure to host for everybody at home, and I know your family tends to watch a lot of the broadcasts, and they're very good contributors in the chat. So it's a pleasure to have you and your entire family. And I mean, yeah, again, thank you to you as a driver as well, because you seem to push everybody else to try as hard as they can. Michael even mentioned it in his interview. It feels like whenever we come here, it's watching you set laps in practice, and it pushes everybody to do their very best to try to replicate them. So I mean, thank you for coming to the series, man. Thanks for I think you've made it to every single race we've ever done. So I mean, you're kind of the perfect driver in the series in my book, and I'm looking to see who at a road course will be able to take you down this season. So, have a good next race at on Friday at Charlotte, and have a good rest of your night, and have a good rest of your week.
You too, Marshall.
And with that, we finish up your final interview of the night with your race winner, Logan Paxa. Again, as I said, this may be the 10th or 11th time I've ever interviewed him. I don't quite have the exact number of wins he's ever had. I think if you brought in the practice races, it would be an even more impressive figure than it is. But well, we now throw up your final race results for the night. We're going to get ready to head off because, again, I do feel bad that our last broadcast did go so long, almost 3 hours. And again, thank you to all those of you that stuck around. And thank you to everybody who sticks around for the interviews and everything. And, well, now we're going to get ready to wrap up our broadcast. So, your race winner again tonight, Logan Paxa, coming away with his first win of the season, his first podium of the season as well. I think he'll come away either second or third in points, depending on how many bonus points Andrew Bedrosian got in this race. Speaking of Bedrosian, he comes away in third, but ahead of him and between him and Paxa is Michael Krobach. Won our first race and did very well tonight. Came very close. As he mentioned, if it weren't for a very slow pit stop to repair some slight damage, he may have even had the track position to win this thing, but he'll have to settle for a second, but he'll still be your championship leader going forward. After that, Andrew Bedrosian and Max Preston will round out your top four. After that, Justin Loic, teammate of Max Preston, The M2 MJ Motorsports teammates having a very good performance tonight, both finishing in the top 5. After that, Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, coming away with tying his best performance ever in our series in 6th position. John Guerra, Rich Felino will round out your 7th and 8th positions. Both drivers for teams that overall, I think because of some complications, didn't have great races tonight. But actually, John and Manuel did pretty well overall, running midfield each. So good performance for Diabolique Motorsports, I should say. Good job to both of them tonight. Rich Felino, his teammate Devin Crosby, because of damage sustained early in the race through incidents that he just couldn't quite avoid, they unfortunately didn't have the points position to keep up their second place spot they had in the championship points for the team standings before. But overall, good performances for both of them, I think, when they were able to avoid incidents. So they ran quick tonight, and all props to them, but unfortunately just weren't quite able to make it into a winning performance. After that, Josh Gallagher will round out your top 10. LPM green team of Devin Crosby. Sorry, Felino is Crowbox teammate. His paint scheme there is green. His little green streak next to his name always kind of throws me off. But Logan Ferguson, the teammate of Logan Motorsports, that his teammate of Logan Paxa, who did win the race tonight. After that, Jordan West, Devin Crosby, and Marco Felice will round out your field. Marco making his return tonight in a very solid performance overall. I mean, he led some laps tonight. He took a green flag start and made it work for a little bit, but unfortunately, again, same way as Devin and Jordan ahead of him, just some incidents put them out of the race early. So, well, again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. It's been a pleasure to have you guys tonight and watching what has been one of my favorite IndyCar races we've had all time, whether it be oval or otherwise. And now we head on to another IndyCar race on Friday, but we go to Charlotte for a race that, as they mentioned in both the interviews, I think it'll be one that'll be very competitive for sure because, as they mentioned, it's not a very difficult braking track or anything. You can almost run flat out the whole way. So really, the battle becomes more a case of pack management and passing lap cars and passing each other and making, as they mentioned, possibly 3 wide passes at an oval in IndyCars, which is always an exciting thing to witness for sure. So I'm looking forward to having all you back out there on Friday for a race that I'll try to make even better. Hopefully the small little tweaks I made to the broadcast tonight aren't too bad. And let me know in the chat. Feel free before we head off if you guys enjoyed the cautions, and even if they could drag a little bit at times, at least it was something to be able to race direct myself, which I've wanted to for a little while. And hopefully the side-by-side was kind of cool, something a little different, so that you can at least have some form of racing in the background when we have to go to a commercial to take breaks. So overall, I'm still trying to innovate the series. I'm trying to get the presentation as good as I can, trying to get more logos, change the colors up a little bit, just get the presentation better for all you guys that are that I'm glad enough we're able to watch at home. So thank you everybody for watching once again. Have a good rest of your week, whether it be a work week or otherwise, and I look forward to seeing you all out on Friday for Charlotte Motor Speedway in the IndyCar Series for round 3 of the 2020 Karts to Computers Iverson Series Season 2. Have a good rest of your night, everybody.